Hello and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and The Fool.
Yeah, welcome to the Shedcast. Unusually this time we're actually recording in our studio instead of the shed.
Yeah.
First time in 2 months. And that's only because we scheduled around not being in a shed.
Yep.
Because otherwise we would be again today. Well, 2 days from now. So, veganism, right?
Coming in strong, coming in hot.
You want to
coming
be
in with opinions.
You want to be a vegan, right?
Not really.
Well, you can't. It's very hard. And so what I'm going to say is, this is not a diss against vegans. What this is...
I can bring it to a diss against vegans.
No, they've got enough problems.
Okay.
They're vegan. But we'll leave them alone. No, it's not a achievable state. And I think vegans are probably aware of this. It's a process. Because you cannot avoid animal products.
Yes.
There's just way too many. But what I knew some of these things, but I was looking up where animal products can be found. And holy cow. So a lot of these things I'm fine with.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are such unnecessary steps that make life so much more complicated. Like you're like, oh man, I have like all these problems. I can't eat this or I can't eat that. Or I can't wear this or I can't wear that.
Yeah.
For example, bananas. You're like, oh, I'm allergic to bananas.
Yeah.
You know, my mouth swells whenever I eat a banana. You might be allergic to shellfish. Because bananas are coated in a shellfish extract to preserve them. Organic bananas aren't. So you're probably not if you have a problem with them.
Yeah.
So there's one thing.
I mean, you don't usually eat the banana skin.
Yeah, but you're still touching it and peeling it and everything else is there. And I don't know how much seeps through. But yeah, you're probably okay. Same with oranges. Like, that was a thing that was always pesticides on oranges.
Yeah.
The only reason to eat organic oranges is because you don't like the idea of pesticides in general.
Yeah.
Like what they might do to the local wildlife. Because you're pretty safe from an orange that was grown with pesticides.
Yeah.
They've got a very thick peel. Theoretically, here's the thing. I don't want to be, and I will be always throughout my life, but I feel really dumb right now because you ever see those ads where it's like vegan free shampoo, vegan free, and you're like, oh, come on, they're just using it as an advertising campaign. They're not. Everything has, so beer.
Yeah.
To strain beer, you use something called isinglass, which is the bladder of a fish, and you strain beer through it. Same with wine. Same with apple juice. So if you're allergic to fish, you probably can't drink apple juice.
Okay.
The color red in clothing and food, like the artificial dye, carmine, bright red, very beautiful color. Aztecs used it in their ages. Mm-hmm. How you get this is you go to your local Aztec cactus, you grab all the bugs on it, you squash them, brilliant red. Now, this is really sad. Only the females of this bug species are bright red. But there's no sorting process. You just crush them all because can't be bothered.
Aren't most of the royal purple things extinct?
Like Tyrion used to be from snails.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they still use it. Nautiluses were used as well for...
Yeah, but they're like far less of them now, this snail.
Yeah, but those processes didn't go away.
Yeah.
Right? We still... It's funny because I almost had this thought of everything's done in some magical... Wizard's Tower lab. I call it a lab, but it's a magical Wizard's Tower where nothing is connected to the past and colors just appear and flavors just appear.
Yeah.
A great one, which many people will love, artificial vanilla flavor. This will turn you off artificial vanilla forever. It's from castoreum, which is a very strong tasting substance that tastes very, almost identical to vanilla.
Yeah.
That comes from a beaver's anal glands. There's a couple 100 kilograms of it harvested every year in the States for flavoring ice cream and candies. And so you're like, oh man, I'm allergic to red dye. Well, you might be allergic to bugs. Oh man, I'm allergic to ice cream. You might be allergic to beavers. Some of these are really stupid. Margarine and soy cheese contain milk to help make them smooth. So they contain an extract from milk, which is called calcinate or calcinate, something like that.
Yeah.
Plastic bags also contain calcinate. Plastic bags contain animal fat to prevent them from sticking together. You know how plastic sticks? So shopping plastic bags, they have this animal fat compound in them so they don't stick together. Condoms have the calcinate from milk in them to make them smoother. So they're more comfortable. So you have to get vegan condoms if you're vegan, I guess. because I think those do exist. But the thing about whenever you go for vegan on all these things, they're using this for a reason. It's because it's the best option available. Okay, white sugar. Why is it so white? How do they get it to be so white? Well, first they do their... I don't know how they separate the brown and the white, but there's that process. But there's still impurities in the white sugar. So how do you strain those out? You use bone char, and you run that through the sugar. Make it sparkling white.
So, in Warhammer, there's the gross Tyranids, which are basically... like their spaceships are giant living things, and their guns like shoot out bugs that are their bullets, and it's like all weird bioprocesses for everything they do.
So most ink, how is most ink made? It's made from a combination of a process of making iron.
Yeah.
You get a runoff, and then the gall of a oak tree. Right,
Yeah.
that's iron most of the time. Sorry, that's black ink.
Yeah.
You use oak gall and iron runoff. That was the old medieval method, and I think it's still the method used today. There's also squid ink and stuff, but I don't know how common that is.
You can use a lot of different tree galls, though, can't you?
Maybe. Like the only one I really know about is where I researched, which was like Northern Europe. But I'm sure there's more. Okay. So, but you don't want to inject a runoff of iron into your body. So tattoo ink, what's that?
Is it?
Burnt bones. That's black. The red is the, bugs, I think. I don't know about the other colors. They might be some more harmless compounds that are minerals or something. What else was there? I mean, there's some stuff like gelatin, of course, is sinews and tendons and whatnot. Yeah. And which is in everything like gummy bears and marshmallows, yeah. And then you get like glue, which can come from hooves and whatnot. But it can also come from flour.
And whale vomit for makeup?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for ambergris, for makeup. That's the other thing. The other place you find the carmine bugs very commonly is lipstick.
Ah.
So red lipstick is a bug. You don't want to... Vegans...
Well, I'd rather smear a bug on my lips than smear lead.
Yeah. Well, so the thing with the injecting like charred bone into your body, that to me doesn't sound bad, honestly.
It's kind of badass.
Yeah, it kind of is. But if you're eating sugar, does it need to be pure white if the side effect is them adding a whole other process into the...
Well, that was fun. So there was this video series Modern History TV did. And he's a guy who, I think he does stuff for television, but he puts it all onto YouTube, and it's just like exploring the medieval world is what he does. And one of them is he had a food archaeologist. So her job is she literally looks at medieval food, medieval diet. She gets cookbooks that were written by like chefs. Like she has King Henry's book. She translates, and then she makes those recipes to try them and see what it's like.
So when I did history in college, that was some of the only first-hand documents we had was cooking recipes. They weren't King Henry's. They were just peasant stuff. But that's the only first-hand documents I've read.
One of the things that was really interesting, so she was with this guy, and he's exploring. He's just very jovial about the whole thing. And so like, all right, so this is peasant food, and he had like the royalty food earlier. And she's like, all right, so here's some nice salmon. And it's like, this is meant to be peasant fare. And here's your bread. And it's like this brown bread that looks gorgeous. And it's like, and here's this thing. This all looks like really high-class food. It's like, well, you didn't hunt in the woods, but you could fish, and there's wild salmon. And the bread is brown because you just went and harvested your field, and you made that into bread, and you had like a mix of things. And the king's bread was white, and it's because it had to be processed and more work, and so it's nice white bread because they...
But of course that means that it's going to have a higher glucosamine index, which means it's going to be less good for you, and you're going to get gout. And
yeah, and also like a bunch of sugar and things, like the king's food was far healthy. Interesting, he liked the peasant food the most. Like they did high king, a knight's food, and peasant food, and it's like the peasant food was by far the most hearty and best and healthiest.
Well, I think we're really overdoing it on the processing. So, people say milk, make your bones strong, drink milk. There isn't calcium in milk. You add calcium to milk. Where do you get calcium from? Ground up seashells is one of the places. Yeah. I don't know where they get it from milk. But what I do know is that vitamin D, right? You get that from orange juice. Oranges don't contain vitamin D. Not really. Not a huge amount. That's fortified as well. How do you fortify orange juice?
Roses?
Sheep's wool.
Really?
Yes. Smooth.
Actually, in what's it called? The Malzahn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was quoting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, "What did you make the soup out of? Sheep's wool. Smooth.
Yeah.
It would be."
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, a vegan's not going to be drinking milk anyways, but I mean
but orange juice.
Yeah, that's just unexpected.
Fortified cereal, I don't know what they put in that.
One of the interesting things actually about is it really much depends on the blend. But so when we were in our arts class, we made the plaster sculptures. That's one of the things we did. And to point out to us that plaster is perfectly safe, the teacher had like his plaster model, and he bit a piece off it, chewed up, and swallowed it.
Yeah.
And he's saying it's just pure calcium. Yeah. If you eat too much, it's going to be like hard on your stomach. But
yeah, that won't be good. It'll cause acid reflux and whatnot.
Yeah, but like saying like the only thing that working with stuff is going to do is it's going to dry out your hands.
Well, I'm not sure about that because
it really dried out hands. Like
working
with.
I mean that part. Yeah, but you can probably eat coal. Like don't quote me on this. But I'm pretty sure you could eat coal and be fairly safe. But I mean, it has bitumen, which isn't good. But
you can eat charcoal to an extent.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm saying. The problem with coal mines is you inhale fine particulate and plaster.
Well, we did wear masks, so he was saying like particulate and drying you out was the dangers, but the actual substance of it,
right? Yeah,
isn't dangerous.
Similar to, I guess, cinnamon would have been a better example. Yeah. You can eat cinnamon just fine, but it has the fine particles. You can eat fake cinnamon just fine.
You can't.
Real cinnamon's gross.
And you can't eat nutmeg.
Well, you can. It's just a hallucinogen in high quantities.
In super high qualities, there's actually lethal amounts of nutmeg.
Yeah, but I mean, lethal amount of any.
Well, I mean, the lethal amount of nutmeg, though,
is lower than most others.
Yeah, it's not like the lethal amount of water, which is drowning or having your guts rupture.
No, actually, that's not true. So people can die from drinking too much water. So it very rarely happens. There's only 2 incidences where it really happens. And it's normally young people. Marathons.
Yeah.
Where you're sweating a lot and you're drinking a lot of water.
Oh, and then
you just lose all your electrolytes and die. And so you should be if you're running, you should be getting electrolytes.
Drinking Gatorade or salty water.
Yeah. Well, or soup. Yeah. Eating soup at rest stops.
Or having those tablets that go on your tongue.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to give advice for running, but yeah, you got to be careful with the marathon. But that's fairly rare that happens because you have to drink a lot of water. So the lethal amount of water is about 2 liters. It depends on your body size.
Yeah.
But that's 2 liters without eating some soup or some bread or
a chunk of meat,
anything really.
Yeah.
The other incidence where you'll get is taking ecstasy. It makes your mouth really dry. And so teenagers who have no experience with drugs and they take ecstasy, and then so there's been only 1 or 2 deaths from this, but they just drink water and drink water and drink water, and they're not doing anything else but partying and drinking water, and they die.
Even I think the lethal amount of nutmeg is less than 2 liters as well.
So yeah, so I read about.
I think it's like a pound.
So when I was in university, I read about how you could calculate for your body weight what the lethal amount of water would be.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about 2 liters. So for women, it's going to be a bit less. I'm about the size of an average guy, so. That's about the average for guys. So I drank 1 liter of water in one go because I was like, that's half a lethal amount. It's not good. Like only half a lethal dose is still. I felt like I could barely think. It felt like my brain was so swollen and pressing against my head. My eyes were bleary. I couldn't see properly.
Now I know arsenic poisons you over time, and so it sticks to your system. It's only half a lethal dose of arsenic.
I'm not saying it was a good idea. I just thought 1 liter didn't even seem like that much. And then I filled up like a beaker and I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of water. So I just sat at a table and I was like, it's actually hard to drink 1 liter of water just straight. And of course, you might have different health conditions that vastly lower or vastly increase the amount you can
capacity.
Take. Yeah. So that might have been dangerous for me, 1 liter, potentially. I don't think it was, but it could have been.
Yeah.
And,
you're sloshing around.
Well, I felt like brain fog massively. I felt really bad. And so what I did was I made this insanely salty stew. I tried to get the water way down, but tons of vegetables, tons of salt. That made me feel better.
What are those blue bins that you often get water in? Those are 2 or 5 liters. Those jugs, the blue jugs.
Oh, those are like 20 gallons or something.
Ah.
Yeah, no, or 10 gallons. There's a lot. So that's like 40 liters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, a liter.
Think of all those.
A liter of water is like a half a water bottle, like a big water bottle, or maybe a full water bottle. Depends on the water bottle.
I mean, I'm drinking a lot before, like those giant mugs that our dad has, like that picture mug.
But it's all at once with nothing else.
Oh yeah, no, I drink that over time slowly.
Yeah. It's you have to drink like 2 liters within it's like half an hour or something, or like an hour. Like it's. So I thought I was pretty safe, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's like over the course of a day, you should be getting multiple liters of water potentially. Yeah. Now that isn't from drinking water necessarily. If you're eating vegetables, you're getting water. The idea of 8 glasses of water a day, that's total. That's if you eat vegetables, eat fruit, eat soup, you don't have to just be chugging glasses of water. I drink a lot of water currently, but that's more because it just makes my throat feel better. And also, if I'm talking, I need to keep my throat moist, because if your vocal cords don't have mucus on them, they get injured. And they're already injured, so.
You need slime on your vocal cords.
Yeah.
Well, so the voice actor for Gollum in Lord of the Rings, that actually wasn't, like, how much he's doing, how many takes, it wasn't good for his voice. And so he literally had, like, this concoction of lemon juice, cheese, ginger, and honey. And it's, like, 50% honey, and then all that other stuff, and it's, like, in this squeeze bottle. And so it says Gollum juice, and literally constantly on set, like, he'd do 5 minutes of line work, and then he'd, like, drink some of that bottle, and then he'd continue talking.
Yeah, honey's miraculous for making your throat feel better. It's the second best thing I've found. Best is alcohol, but I'm not sure if either is a great option.
Well, I think you have to really dilute the honey into water and have small amounts.
Yeah.
Because it will burn you.
But also, like, the sugar content is so high. And also...
Well, honey sugar is different than normal sugar.
You're still getting, like you still crash from honey.
Yes.
And the other issue I have is, let's say there's no side effects whatsoever to the painkiller you're taking.
Yeah.
You're still ignoring pain.
Yeah.
And now, you can really have a messed up pain receptor. That happens a lot, especially with chronic pain. So ignoring pain can be totally fine, because your body just doesn't know what it's doing. And so ignoring the pain just lets you get on with your life. But sometimes that pain is there for a reason. So it is a tricky balance. Like, for example, my throat pain, it's very strongly tied to how tight my chest and shoulder are. So in theory, I might be able to ignore it. But vocal cord damage, very hard to reverse. It's a lot of work. And it does seem to be getting better through not ignoring it. And just, so what they say is, imagine you have a speaking allowance.
Yeah.
You can't spend too much. But the important thing is, unlike an allowance, let's say, you have to make sure to spend it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about, and also there's exercises you can do.
That's a lot of injury recoveries, honestly.
Yeah.
Is you have an allowance and you have to spend it, otherwise you wither.
Yeah, you can't go over it, you can't go under it. It's very tricky.
Yeah.
The hardest injuries to cure are actually tendon and, well, vocal are pretty hard too. Because tendon injuries get worse if you don't use them, and they get worse if you use them too much. They're very annoying, especially knee ones, because humans walk. That's what we do. That's our thing. So it's very hard to cure knees because you have to walk, but not too much. And my friend, his brother was in a horrible car accident, and they said, okay, we're gonna have to like immobilize you for like a year, and then you're gonna walk with a cane and only use one leg, and then we're going to bind that leg, and then you'll walk with the other leg, and so that'll be another year for each leg. So that's like a 3-year recovery of you're not allowed to walk except with one leg at a time using a cane and whatnot. Yeah. So 2 months after he was in the hospital, he's like, I'm not doing that. He got up and started walking around the hospital room. And he's like a year in now, and he's doing way better. Yeah. Doctors are super on the side of caution most of the time.
Yeah.
Too much so in a lot of cases. Not always. I'm not going to give medical advice on that. But... and this was hell for him to go through, so it's not easy. But a lot of the time, your body will tell you what to do, and you'll like if you're going stir crazy, there might be a. So really interesting. We've been doing these podcasts in the shed for the last 3 months, and it's actually been taking a toll on my mental health.
6 weeks.
Yeah. Sorry, 2.5 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was the 2 visits from the relatives. Then
there was the
and then there was the work from the carpenters.
Yeah, so that's been 3 times.
Yeah, and it was going to happen again because the relatives are coming today, but we decided to do this podcast early. Yeah. the relatives are coming every 2 weeks. It's a bit much. They're getting established in a new home, so they need a place to recruit, basically. But on my end, it's just been a bit much. But that's fine for now. We'll see.
Like an old dog. Do you know this thing with old dogs?
No.
So if you have an old dog or old cat, if you have too many different people coming in and out of its area, it will make them nasty.
Well, for me, my throat is at the point it was back in like February.
Yeah.
Like I go to sleep and I wake up and I'm worse than I was the day before, not better. So even if I do nothing, I'm worse.
Yeah.
And so it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge mentally because resentment isn't good. It's never a useful emotion. What resentment tells you is you didn't do something right. Yeah. It's not someone else is out to get you. What resentment says is, hey, you didn't stand up for yourself. You did something wrong. So it's a really hard emotion to deal with because it's essentially calling yourself a coward. And you have to stand up to deal with the resentment. The problem is when you can't talk and you can't write. It's very hard to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing was I actually typed up a big list of ideas to make it better for me and gave it to our mom and got her to go through it, basically. And then she doesn't want to like tick off her brother, who's the relative. Yeah. So that's kind of, and I don't know what her boundaries are or not, but it makes it kind of tricky on that front because she might not be the best with boundaries or not. I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to say from an outside perspective, right? If she's doing fine, then that's fine. But it's encroaching on me too much. So we'd made some changes. We shifted the bed around in here. I put some sound insulation on the wall, that sort of thing. But it has been it's been making the podcast hard for me because it is one of the big highlights in my life right now, the podcast, and making it something that I can't put my all into because I'm distracted by the pain. Like I'm not speaking properly a lot of the times, and I'm losing my thoughts and I'm not as focused as I want to be on the podcast. So like last time, I think I said something that was I've been doing this a bit in the last couple of months where I say something, not on the podcast necessarily, but talking to people as well. I'll say something that's factually inaccurate. And I'm not sure why I say it, like because it's kind of a thought that's buzzing around my head, but I won't correct myself because it's so much effort to speak. Not just pain, but I'm not used to talking as much. So I won't correct myself. And so I kind of I'm not speaking as the truthful person I want to be fully. Yeah. So it's kind of unfortunate. This was going somewhere we were talking previously about
just being in the shed.
Yeah, and then before that, this was going somewhere positive.
Before the shed.
What were we talking about? Like
drinking honey.
Yeah, ignoring pain, recovering from injuries. Yes. So the pain has been building up, and I've been going backwards instead of forwards in healing for the last 8 weeks. Yeah. And so I've had this little ball of pain kind of growing at the base of my throat, and it was something that our last podcast, I was in so much pain by the end of it. I couldn't talk for a week, and I was in pain the whole time. I'm not in pain at rest anymore. I was for a year, but I'm not anymore. Yeah. And so that was a massive relief, because even if you can't talk, at least you're not in pain. Yeah. But that pain came back, and that made me really resentful. And so that was something I was trying to struggle through. And it's really hard to struggle through pain, because pain is so impossible to ignore. Yeah. So you're trying to, it's, if you're messing up, you're in your room and you're a bit of a slouch and your place isn't clean. Being a better person involves, sitting up straight, cleaning your room, and it's hard, but you can do it. You got to focus your mind and you can do it. Yeah. But when pain is the thing holding you back, you can't even push aside the pain to fix your life. It's just there, so it makes it that much harder. And I do think a lot of people's problems are rooted in pain. So you say, "Oh, come on, why do you have such a bad diet? Why don't you exercise?" It's like, well, they probably have a reason. I'm not. Yeah. There's a saying. I'm surprised I haven't heard it before. There's no excuse for bad behavior. Sorry. Yeah. It's like, well, they had a really bad day. Their dog just died. That's why they snapped at you. It's like, yeah, that sucks. But there's no excuse for bad behavior. And I think that's a really good saying, because it's true. And so I still try to deal with the resentment. And dealing with the resentment isn't saying this is fine. No, you can't lie to yourself. Yeah. You actually have to come up with solutions. So, for example, vacuum cleaner's going. It's driving me nuts. I'm trying to relax. And because if I relax, my throat feels better. Vacuum cleaner's going. It's like, It's like, okay. The moment the vacuum cleaner starts, you have to leave the house.
I wonder, what extent, if it's tension, you would actually benefit from massage therapy.
It probably would help. Because a lot of it is even repetitive strain. Yeah. In your hands. I saw this video that was quite interesting. The guy was saying, your body's really tough. you're not going to get repetitive strain from doing something because people have always been doing stuff over and over again. Something else needs to be wrong. So the most common case is you have a strained neck, and that causes extra pressure on your hands, and then you're using a computer repetitively, and then that causes pain, and then that causes the problem further and further. So yes, and after he talked about that, he gave some very basic neck massages, and yes, they do seem to help. So I had this pain base of my neck.
Yeah.
I still feel burning pain there, but this was different. This was like a lump that wouldn't leave of pain. I just couldn't think. I couldn't. Really annoying. Like, it's not even a big pain, but what happens is when your pain goes back to the point where you were, fear. It's like, I'll never be better. It's been 2.5 years, and I'm still a layabout that can't do anything from my injury. It's really hard on your brain.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And what's interesting, actually, is the hand injury really sucked. And I still have it, the elbows. But it wasn't nearly as bad as the depression in Victoria, that sort of thing. Throat injury, it's starting to, it's a contender. I don't think it's going to beat it, but it's giving it its all. It's not being able to communicate. It's hell. Holy cow.
Well, for me, I used to get chronic ulcers around my tonsils.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of mine at one point, and she was saying, oh yeah, I get that too. And I went to the doctor and basically said, can I have my tonsils removed? The doctor said, yeah, we're going to do that. And I was so desperate not to get these ulcers again that when I went to the doctor for a checkup, I was like, is it a thing we can do? Is like have that thing? He's like, no, I'm going to give you like this nose spray instead, and that should make it so you don't have to do that because your case is different than hers, like postnasal drip, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But like I used to know like if an ulcer was starting to form or not, and I would get scared, and like once I felt one starting to form, I'd like start gargling salt water and like being really careful and not wanting to like have anything happen to it because didn't want that pain from those ulcers in my throat because it is wretched.
Yeah, and it's like mine doesn't even hurt that much really in the grand scheme of things, but it's just that fear of like I'll never recover. It's just there, and I can't talk to anyone, and I'm lonely, and I can't see my friends, and it really sucks. So I went and saw my friend last Tuesday, I think it was.
Yeah.
With the pain still not fully resolved, but I was feeling better that day. I was like, this is as good as it gets. I'm going to go to his place. Just right after supper, go to his place. We'll hang out, and I'll just see how I do. Maybe I'll leave in 10 minutes, but he's cool like that. I'll see what I can do. And then he's like, hey, can I go for a quick run before you head over? And so this is something I've learned as well. Cell phones make communication way too easy. Like I was... Or instant messaging. We were instant messaging. So if you want to meet with someone, just set a date. Don't say, hey, you want to hang out. You say, hey, can I come over at like 6:30? Say that. Because he said, hey, can I go for a quick run first? I was like, yeah, sure. So, all right, it'll be like an hour. It's not exactly what I'd call quick. But so if I had said, can I come over for 7? Yeah. Then there wouldn't have been this miscommunication. So he starts his run half an hour after saying I want to go for a quick run first because he's doing something else. Mm-hmm. His run goes for like an hour 15. And then he's taking a shower, and so it's like 7:30, 7:40, 7:50 before I go and see him. And as you probably know, I get worse as the day goes on. Yeah. So I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a short visit. So I go over to his place, and we hang out, and he has another friend over from Sweden. So we hang out. We have a great time. And then it's like, well, I think I'm done. My voice is feeling kind of done in for the night. That was great. Good seeing you guys. Maybe see you later. So I head out, I look at the clock. It's like 11:30 at night. I'm like, geez. And I just noticed it now. Mm-hmm. And then, so that I was in pain though, because I was talking a lot, right? But the interesting thing is I was very relaxed. Yeah. And so the next day, I was in more pain than the previous day. But the pain was like my whole throat in a sort of, like you've got a cold type feeling, rather than this ball of pain. And then the next day it was gone. So it was like I had unfurled like this knot of pain and spread it out, and then just like, you know how higher surface area of water, it'll evaporate faster. So the human body is amazing at recovery if you just let it go. And something really interesting I was doing recently makes me feel a lot better about this whole pain thing with my elbows. I was reading some old writing I had written. This was from 2017, which might have been the year we started the podcast. I'm not sure.
We started around the time I graduated.
I don't like that idea. It's 5 years, really? I don't. That can't be right. That's not right. It was 2019 or something.
No, yeah, it won't be around. It was when I was starting college.
Yeah, and you took a year off. So 2018,
It was right. Yeah, 2018. It was near the end of 2018.
Okay. And then there was that 6-year gap. So it's it's not been that long. Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to feel very old. And also being like, we're not getting even a subscriber a year. I mean, that's got to be a record.
It's rather impressive, actually, how unviewed the channel is, despite the persistency.
Yeah, well, I think it's because they're so long.
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know.
Well, people like long content, though.
I'm curious, but you don't want to invest in someone you don't know.
Yeah.
I am curious if there's like a world record for like least viewed per hours put in or something.
We're a contender.
Yeah, not that. Like I said, I look forward to this every 2 weeks. I'm doing this for me, not for.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe on your end because you're doing a lot more work for it. It's not as nice a deal for you. But
I do less work on it.
But I do. I really enjoy this. So.
Yeah, I get to practice art or stealing art as well. I enjoy that.
Yeah, and practice talking to a degree. It's good to be a better speaker. I think it's helped me.
It's also good to get your ideas out. And I think one of the things is... So there's the one thought of, like, we say some pretty stupid stuff at times. And so if someone, I don't know, whatever reason why would be in position of someone like to quote mine this. But this can also be used as a track record of look at the philosophy of our thoughts and actually take the context of its totality.
Yeah. Also, it's changed. Like in one of the earlier episodes, I'm trying to remember, I made fun of some concept that I'm not like fully on board with. So because I was full Dunning-Kruger back then, and I'm sure I'm doing that now. So the thing I read back in 2017 was a thing I had written, which was, I don't think I can write anymore. I was writing a sort of complaint piece just to get my emotions out, just kind of drain them out. And it was saying, I don't think I can write anymore. My hands are in pain all the time. I can't write. I can't hold a pencil. And that's really interesting because I can hold a pencil now.
Your pencil's dumb.
But I can hold a pencil now.
No, that's good.
And I can type.
Yeah.
And like, I can't do much, but I can do it without pain whatsoever. Like I can type with no pain. I can write with a pencil with no pain whatsoever. I can draw with no pain whatsoever. Not very long, but I can.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that in 2017. And yet I wasn't injured in 2017.
Yeah, well, so on top of that, actually that's interesting because you had the diet change around that time too.
Yeah.
And I had my back pain. When I think about it, like actually like basically grade 11 onwards, classrooms were hell to be in for me. Like people always were a little weirded out because like everyone would be in a class normally. And know the big windowsills at our school?
Yeah.
I would sit on those or lie on them or stand next to them during class. And people like, you get to know your classmates over time, and we had a rather small grade, so like, oh, that's just something Connor does. And it wasn't, oh, I'm some weird layabout who has to be lounging here and I'm doing it because I'm like so special or like saying it back class. I had to do that to be able to actually participate in class, because if I was sitting at a desk, I would have gone insane from pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had to be fully either lying down or spread out. I couldn't be cooped in a chair, basically. And like all the teachers I talked to them about, it's like, oh yeah, no, go back there. They understood that. It was just like ridiculous how much back pain I was in. And if you're in back, like you said, if you're in pain, you're in pain. Like if you have back pain and you're young, people are going to say, you're too young to have back pain. It's like, no, you have back pain and it is awful.
I was watching a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how there's back pain she deals with, like with her clients.
Yeah.
And she said that the interesting thing is that she's been getting younger and younger clients. Mm-hmm. So every decade or so, the clients are about a decade younger, or something like that.
Yeah. And
she's saying, so that makes me think that all this pain started at the same time.
Mm.
And it's not age related, it's time related. Like 2010 was the time when people got this pain. And that, I think, is... she was sort of joking, but that is something to focus on, I think, and say, there might be something going on there. I think...
It's all the sheep's wool we're eating.
Yeah, well, it is a... Like, I don't mind gelatin, right? Like, okay, this is made from tendons. Sure, it would taste fine. It was very useful in a lot of things. Go for it. But when you're adding stuff for just a slight aesthetic thing, like, well, I don't want to use vanilla, I'll use this fake vanilla. Or I want this to look red even though it's not red.
Vanilla, just on no vanilla, is ridiculously hard to make. Your plant has to start, like, if you want to harvest vanilla beans, like, in a year, you've had to plant the plant 4 years ago. Like, it is insane.
it in,
and most of the vanilla died recently.
wasn't it in Cuba where you could buy like a liter of vanilla for like $1?
It's probably not the case anymore, as like 60% of the vanilla bean population got wiped out.
I wonder if like they have some great farmers in Cuba.
Yeah.
I wonder if once was it Obama or Trump lifted the ban on Cuban goods.
Yeah.
I wonder if Cuba just started raking in cash. Like, hey, we got vanilla that costs. Wait, you've been selling it for like 100 times the amount we are. All right, we'll sell it for 50 times. Wait, these cars are worth millions. Okay, we'll sell you my car.
Yeah.
I'll buy 2 new ones. Like, now I do think they kind of eased off slowly on Cuba.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and they had the Castro's brother where they didn't want him, and the people were marching in the streets flying the American flags and that sort of thing. But so they didn't get a full just like, whoa, we're a democracy now that has full trade with the United States. But they have the potential for the riches. They have it.
Yeah.
Well, so does, this is really heartbreaking actually. Haiti in the 1800s or late 1700s, early 1800s.
Yeah.
Richest country on earth. And now
And the French showed up.
No, this was while the French were in charge. Yeah. And now they're the poorest. It's very sad.
Was it the earthquakes or the Civil War? Or like
Well, they
many things at
overthrew
once?
slavery in Haiti successfully, I believe. I think the locals successfully overthrew the slavers.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't produce on the same level, I think.
Mm.
And the war was awful. And I think that was part of it. And then they didn't have the administration. They didn't have
the support of France anymore.
of anyone. Because Spain and England are like, we want this place now that France is out of here.
Yeah.
So they went in to try to conquer it. And so the Haitians, I'm trying to remember, I think the Haitian general was essentially trying to maneuver like French, Spanish, and English armies into positions where they end up fighting each other.
Yeah.
And so he was trying to handle them all. And like this was Napoleon that was fighting this guy, like by correspondence, basically. And Napoleon, potentially the greatest general who ever lived. So this guy had his work cut out for him. Thankfully, the sea was between him and Napoleon.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they eventually succeeded. But then everyone just said, we're not going to trade with you anymore. And like Cuba's kind of the same, where it was very good at making sugar.
Yeah.
And then the Americans said they just cranked the taxes up like crazy, which, you know, to be fair, like the Americans didn't know that cranking up taxes would make their colony revolt, because that had never happened in any history before.
America didn't used to have taxes.
That was the first time. So you know why America exists, right? Because the UK taxed them.
Yes.
They said, hey, we're going to crank up your taxes to pay for the war against Napoleon. And then they were like, no, not against Napoleon, sorry, against Spain.
Yeah, representation, taxation.
Yeah, and so they said, we're not going to pay for your war. And so they kicked England out. And then they did the same thing to Cuba, which is very like, I think you could take Greek mythology, make all the gods countries. Like,
What's this?
England is
Ornos?
Oranos, and then the United States is Kronos, and then Cuba is Zeus, and then you have like Athena is some city in Cuba, probably. I don't know. Because you just have the constant never learning the lesson of your father.
Yeah.
Devouring the...
Well, it's a story that does repeat. But I told this to my friend and it terrified them. This is, which is the sins of the father are passed down for 7 generations. And it was just like in regards to their family issues and all that. I was like, I really hope that that's not true. I was like, and well, each generation it gets lesser.
I think you can make the effort to
break the chain.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched. You have to fight the right dragons, as it were.
Yeah.
I watched Jordan Peterson. He's talking about you have to fight the biggest dragon you can succeed against.
Yeah.
But you have to voluntarily fight that dragon. And he was saying, so maybe there's a. He's struggling for words a little bit. He's like, maybe there's a little dragon. You beat that and you get its gold, and then you can use that to fight the bigger dragon.
Sounds like D&D.
Well, you know what I was saying? It's a shame there's not a whole medium devoted to expressing this idea. Like, it'd be really, imagine how valuable a medium would be that expressed the idea of, I don't know, gaining experience, making you
video games
stronger. But you can't fight something too strong. You've got to fight just the right balance. And if you fight something too weak, you're not going to gain any experience whatsoever. And it's like, if only there was an entire medium dedicated to the notion. That's not all video games are, but like fighting games, they're about learning. But I thought RPG video games
Hmm.
and mountain biking are the perfect two metaphors for what he was talking about. Because mountain biking, the only way you get better, like you're on a hill, you can't get off the hill, you have to take the course.
Yeah.
But you can choose which path you take. And so the only way you're getting down that mountain, skiing is similar, but skiing has a lot more room for failure.
Yeah.
Mountain biking doesn't really have room for failure. So to become a good mountain biker, you have to take the hardest thing you think you can succeed at. Because if it's too hard, you die.
Yes.
Or you get it. The best skateboarders and mountain bikers are the ones that have fallen a bunch of times and didn't kill
And
them.
being lucky.
Yeah. Because once you fall like 5 times and it doesn't kill you, you lose fear. And then if you're not afraid, you become like 10 times better.
Yeah.
Because it's fear that messes you up most of the
There's
time.
these absolutely incredible videos of this mountain biker. He does a lot of stuff in like British Columbia. That place full.
Whistler?
Yeah, Whistler. And the surrounding areas. Like he's all throughout British Columbia. Where he has a GoPro on his head. And he mountain bikes double black diamond mountain bike courses and basically goes through it with you. And it's like some he's learned, others like, I don't know this, so I'm going to scout how to go slow, then I'm going to go through here fast. And his video that sort of made him blow up was he's really familiar with this one course. And it's a double black diamond. And he said, I don't know if like this, it's beyond that. And it's raining. And it's like, usually I won't do it when it's raining, but I like spent an hour coming out here. This is a really long, nice course. I have a friend behind me, so if I fall, he can help me out.
He can scrape my body back together.
I'm just going to run it. And so he didn't like slow down, he just ran. And he knew the course so well that he just went through it and like zoomed.
Is this like these wooden courses? Where
yeah, like you go up at 45 degrees and like on turns and stuff like that. And going down rock, like just a cliff basically, but there's a path that if you know it, you can do it.
Yeah,
it like leaves you at the edge of your seat, like don't get hurt, but also he's the artist at doing it.
It's like the opposite of archery. I really don't like doing it, but it's so cool to watch mountain biking.
Yeah.
Archery is really fun, but it's so boring to watch.
Yep.
Yeah. Mountain biking is kind of the perfect metaphor. You take the hardest course you can, and then if you succeed at it, then you've learned a little. Like this time I'm going to take that seahorse, because it's they're called...
Yeah, seahorse, sawhorse.
Seesaw?
Sawhorse.
You take
Seesaw,
the child's teeter-totter. You take the teeter-totter, and you're like, look, if I fall, it's only a foot off the ground, whatever. You do that once, and then you're like, okay, I can do this. And then that teaches you balance, and that teaches you shifting your weight. Yeah. And then once that gets easy, you're like, okay, I can do a jump. I'll try a little jump. You figure out a little jump, and I can do a little cliff, and it builds and it builds and it builds. But if you go off the cliff to start with, you're just going to fall off the cliff and die. I actually had something really interesting happen to me. It's very weird. Can I just say like 6 quick stories before they're lost forever? Because I haven't talked to anyone for like 2 years, and some weird stuff has happened to me.
Sure.
Okay. I saw a dragonfly sit on top of a tree, like at the very top of a tree. I didn't know they did that. I thought they always floated around like face height. I was walking. I came out of a trail, and there was a golden eagle just sitting on a tree right in front of me, just sitting right there. And then it got scared and flew away. I saw a couple days ago a giant caterpillar digging in the earth. It was like grabbing giant mouthfuls of dirt and putting them to the side. And I think it was going for grass roots or something. And I went biking when it was raining really hard. And normally packed dirt is like the best thing to bike on. When it was raining really hard, it was like ice. And I went flying like off my bike. Like I slipped free. And I rolled, like I put myself into a roll on purpose, like because I went flying. I was like, no, I got to roll down the trail, not hit the trees. So I put myself in this beautiful roll, got up from the roll. It was flawless. I didn't get a bruise on me, but my entire jacket was covered in mud, and my bike wheel now like squeaks a little. So I got on the bike. I was like, whoo boy, wow, that's good. Pat myself on the back. Perfect, flawless dismount. I biked for maybe another minute, wiped out again like crazy, went in this flawless roll, got back up. I was, man, like I do this 2 more times and I'm an expert. Like, but this is not the kind of thing you can really choose to practice for. You just got to be out there. And
when you fall off your bike and you have a perfect recovery, it just feels like such a, like for me, I remember we were out at Mount Mac biking and there's a tree across the road and you or dad swerved out of the way to dodge it. But I was around a corner and I didn't know it was there. And so my bike hit the tree and I should have gone clean over the handlebars. And I did. However, instead of like flipping, I jumped, and so I just landed on my feet, and then went and got my bike out from the tree. It's just like,
Yeah.
yes!
And that's what mountain bikers do. They have little mistakes that make them really good at avoiding big mistakes. Because if a mountain biker fails when he falls down the cliff, he knows how to land. He's going to make it. It's like what parkourists, you see these crazy videos, they'll jump off like a water tower and they'll just land on their back and do a little like rocking motion and they get back up. Our grandpa, they used to fling him off these ropes that were whipping around 50 feet off the ground, and then they say let go, and you just go flying to these concrete floors and you have to land and roll. And so when our grandma was going on a long trip one time, he was talking to her and he's running alongside the train talking to her saying goodbye, I love you so much, that sort of thing. And then as the train picked up speed, he jumped onto the train and held on and kept talking to her. And then when she's like, okay, bye, he just jumped off this train going however many kilometers an hour and rolled, kept going. Yeah. His military training, he's a paratrooper. And so you can learn these things, but you gotta work your way up to them. But to put yourself in the situation and learn them, you have to be on that edge of danger. And the really interesting thing, like with a bike, you're like, oh, flawless roll. It's more than that, because you're kind of entangled in a bike.
Yes.
So it's really interesting when I'm like sliding out of control in the mud. I kind of push my bike and step over it as I'm falling, so it like goes somewhere else. And
well, that's the thing I noticed when I was on the electric scooter, like versus electric bike. Like you're on an electric bike, you're going fast. If you mess up on an electric bike, you're gonna go splat. Yeah. But with the electric scooter, it's going long, and I went over a bump, and now scooters can collapse. It delatched itself while I was on it, but because I was only going about 20 kilometers an hour, it like collapsed, and I realized that happening. So I just put my legs to the other side and started running, because you can just step off a scooter.
Well, even motorcyclists, they get in accidents and they survive. You've got to skid, you've got to have leather, and you got to roll on you got to stay on the leather and just let it take the road for you. And I'm no expert at that. I've never crashed a motorbike. I've never driven
You've been on a dirt bike.
I don't think I.
Yeah,
I've been on like a moped.
No, you were on a dirt bike when we were in.
No, when we were in Dominican, that was a moped.
That was a motor. That's a dirt bike. That was not a moped. That was a dirt bike.
I think it was just a moped, but I guess I've never driven one myself. Yeah. As far as I might have when I was really young, because my friend had one just over there, but I'm not sure. It's funny now. I see this kid. He just tears around the neighborhood on a dirt bike. Yeah. It's just this obnoxious like, and I think, hey, it's like Chris. That was cool. It's like when Chris was young. Yeah. It's like, it would almost be annoying, but it's just like, hey, we used to do that. Yeah. So it's almost charming instead.
You had one little tail left? Or is that all of it?
I think there's more, but I don't know if I've remembered them. Yeah. Yeah. But I've just had these weird little things happen that I've never noticed before, never seen before. Like, I didn't know caterpillars are around this time of year. I thought this was way too late for caterpillars. I've also seen so many dragonflies this year.
Oh, that's good. I've only seen a few.
I've seen hundreds. It's been crazy. And, oh yeah, here's another.
The thing I haven't seen is wasps.
No, I haven't seen any either.
I haven't seen a single wasp or even active wasp nets.
I've seen some just collapse on the ground everywhere, but I haven't seen any wasps. Yeah. So yeah, another thing that happened this year. A YouTube video was recommended to me, like this, if you're seeing this video was destined to reach you. It was titled something like that. So I click on it, and it's this fortune teller, and what she does is she says, okay, here's 3 images. Pick the one that resonates most with you. And then that'll give you a timestamp. Skip to that point in the video, and I'll tell your fortune. So I watched one of those videos. I was like, hey, this is cool. So I watched the second one. And it's like, okay, choose the one that resonates with you most. It's like, okay, I choose this image. And so I click there, and she's like, okay, it seems like you've been dealing with a lot of pain. Like, you've been going through a lot of pain.
Are these just cold reads, but through psychology of images?
And she's like, and is someone... sorry, it seems like someone here has a really messed up throat chakra. I was, okay, I will listen to and believe whatever you tell me.
I mean, if you're doing a medium of a cold read, basically, you're going to catch a few people.
Yeah, but it was just like, wow. Because you get them on one or two things. But when you get, like, you're injured, your throat's injured, you're...
Well, you know about the prediction scam.
Where you send out a letter to 1 million people. Half of them it works on. Yeah. And, like, so for sports, you say, this team will win this game. And then half of the people you send it to, it works on. And then you say, this team will win, and half and half and half. And you can get something like 12,000 people from 1 million with 8 games. And then you can say, see, I know exactly how the Super Bowl is going to go. Yeah. And then, yeah, so I do know that it's possible. But it's not like she's like 100,000 views type YouTuber, not 1 million views type YouTuber. And she does it quite well. That said, you can, there might be one or two people with a sore throat that are going to watch. But she's also, I think she's a Hopi Indian. I think she might be. And they, of course, naturally, are aliens.
What?
Because they are the Star Children. They were left on Earth, but some intergalactic race came to Earth, dropped off the Hopi Indians, and flew away. So, if anyone has abilities that the rest of the humans don't, it's going to be them, because that is their myth. They're the Star Children. So, I'm just saying that.
The philosophy of fortune telling. I remember reading an article on this, and it was a very interesting fortune teller. So she was talking about the trade and how she's taught and going through it and what her teacher taught. And she's saying, it was really surreal actually, this article, because she's saying, I actually don't think that you can read the future. I think there's times when you can get pretty close to it and you learn to intuit what's going on in people's lives, and you can sort of like intuit what's going to happen.
That's the other thing she said. She said, look for dragonflies. They're your symbol, they're your guardian spirits. And then suddenly I'm surrounded by dragonflies. Which is tied to what you're saying, because what a fortune teller can do, there's infinite possible facts in the world. If they tell you to focus on 3 good ones, your life's going to be better and you're going to notice them.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's where I'm getting to is, so the philosophy is, so when you're telling someone's fortune, you intuit some things from them. So you get some information, you can try to guess what's going on. And then instead of giving them like, oh, this is going to be your fortune, like exactly, you say, like you sort of figure out what's going on. It's like, so soon in your life, you're going to find an opportunity, and you're going to need to take that opportunity. And so what they figured out is like, all right, so this person here, from what I can tell, like they are really stressed out, and it's from their job. Like this, it would be a very good read. And you might ask some questions, but like they're really stressed out from their job. They need to quit that job. And so it's like, all right, your opportunity is going to come, and you're going to have to drop everything for this opportunity. Or it's like, it would be a good idea to drop things for this opportunity. And I see romance in your future. Look for a black-haired man. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you could just say, look for a man.
Well, one of the things they'll say is look for Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising. Yeah. So what that means is they were born under the sign of Sagittarius. Yeah. However, there's 2 different ways to view the precession of the heavens. Yeah. There is, you were born under the sign of Sagittarius, or there was, you were born where Sagittarius would be if the sun, if there wasn't a precession of the equinoxes. Yeah. So when you're a Taurus, I'm a Leo. Yeah. That is without the precession of equinoxes. Yeah. So when you were born, the sun wasn't actually in the house of Taurus. Mm. It's offset right now. Yeah. So your proper one could be where the sun actually was. And then sun, moon, or rising is the time of day and the moon that was up. So they could be a Sagittarius, but there's like 6 possible Sagittariuses. So that's like half of people are going to fall within.
But still, it's like look for someone with black hair, and that's like your romance. And then like even like the dragonfly thing, just to focus on is like and 5, like I see 5 being a very good thing for you. And that's actually just a psychology trick, which is someone believes it. If you give someone basically a totem, like dreaming terms, like you give someone a foci, they actually have
a focus.
Yeah, focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have foci is the item.
No, that's multiple.
Okay.
It's a focus.
Right.
Foci is multiple focuses.
Yeah, so if you give...
Multiple foci.
If you give someone a focus, then it will have a placebo effect. And there's been a few psychological studies on like artifact things to give to people for the placebo, and a lot of the time they do help. And even the studies that are done on acupuncture, we talked about this before, one of the largest done studies on acupuncture had some very fun conclusions, which is it works, but it's probably placebo. But the studies basically, okay, all these people are getting, like the majority of people who have acupuncture done are getting benefits.
I've become pretty anti-science lately.
But we don't know why they're getting benefits, so it's placebo.
Yeah, well, I've become pretty anti-science lately. So I've been thinking that if things work and science can't find an explanation, the fault lies with science, not the thing. Yeah. So I don't know if you've heard recently, but now this study could be, maybe it'll be proven wrong. But a study came out recently that depression isn't caused by a lack of serotonin. So antidepressants are serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Yeah.
SRSs. No, SRIs. What they do is when serotonin goes from your one bit to the other, it goes boop, it shoots across a little gap. They prevent it from coming back. So the happy drug is stuck, and so you're just happy. So the idea was that serotonin is you don't have enough happiness, so serotonin reuptake inhibitor
pump you a happy juice.
It doesn't give you any. It prevents you from absorbing it again.
Yeah.
So you're constantly producing it, but you're not getting rid of it.
Yeah. Sounds like burnout could happen.
Yeah, it does. But I think the idea is that you're really low, and your body hopefully has its own limiters, anyways. Yeah. But it is something that grapefruit can do with drugs. They can prevent them from being digested, so they just stay in your system. So there was a study that their finding was that serotonin isn't responsible for depression, like lack of serotonin. But the weird thing is that there is studies that show that antidepressants work.
Well, we had that whole conversation about them being anti-inflammatory.
Yeah. Are they anti-inflammatory, or were we just theorizing?
Some of them are actually anti-inflammatory.
Because this is only off the top of my head, right? So I know some of the side effects of various antidepressants is restricting blood flow. So Viagra was originally an antidepressant. And then it turned out it worked, but not in the way they thought it did for being an antidepressant.
I mean, some people's depressions is linked to that.
Yeah. Health, sleep, whatever it might be. So I don't actually remember it being anti-inflammatory, but I'll take your word for it. Which is interesting because after hearing about that study, I thought, I wonder if they're an anti-inflammatory. They cause lactation occasionally, which, I don't know, depends on who you are.
Oh, what was that thing I was reading?
I mean, if that's what it takes to make you get up in the morning.
the like traditional medicine of that thing was used to help with lactation. I can't remember what it was, but it's like this thing is believed to have like a bunch of medical things, and one of them was helping with lactation. That's it, nettles. So when you turn nettles into a soup, it actually does help with lactation. So it's like
preventing or causing?
Causing. It was an old cure for women who had trouble breastfeeding. Is you'd have nettle soup. But then there's another belief with nettles, which is if you had inflammation, you would thrash that area with raw nettles on the skin to cause the rash to form, and then it would pull the inflammation out of the joint.
Well, that's really interesting because a thing that has worked for some people for tennis elbow, and I wouldn't recommend doing this on purpose,
is lashing themselves with nettles.
Well, I think it could work because what people have found, like a few people, I'm not saying, I don't know if there's even been studies on this. Bee stings. People have found that you get stung by a bee, pain goes away, and then the tennis elbow goes away.
Well, there are so many chemicals in a bee sting. Like, those are so chemically complex that it might even just be the drug or protein that you need.
But it could be like a cortisol injection. It could be that it's resetting your inflammation. Inflammatory diseases are actually really... I was reading about them. It's very hard to have an autoimmune disorder because you need to have a messed up genetic system in the first place. And then something needs to go horribly wrong in your life. Like, you need to get very ill, or you need to be very injured, or you need to have a massive allergic reaction. Which is interesting because our mom and me have both been, like, deadly ill.
Yeah.
You, I don't think so. You've been very stressed.
Yeah. But I know when it all started. So tonsil stones, which I get far less often, that was basically the start of my postnasal drip. And they started when we went to Cuba.
Yeah, you could have gotten something there.
And it was during when we were in Cuba. 2012 was when we went to Cuba. And the world was going to end. And I remember because we went to Cuba around Christmas time.
Yep.
And I remember I was in the pool and I noticed it. And I was like, this is really weird. And I didn't tell anyone about it at the time. But I was like, this is really weird. And then I was sitting out on the beach looking at the ocean. And it was nighttime. And I was like sort of worried about that. And I was thinking, the world's going to end soon, isn't it? Just like with the whole 2012 thing. I was like, well, we'll see if the minds were right or not, or everyone's right or not on this.
Yeah, that's the thing I was wrong about. I think I talked about this before on the podcast. I said the Mayan calendar was cyclical, so it was all a big nonsense thing. But I was totally wrong about that. But yeah, you could have gotten an infection of some sort. Like bacteria, parasite, virus, whatever it might be.
I don't know if it was during we were going to Cuba or right when we were there, but I just remember I coughed and a tonsil stone fell out into my hand while I was in the pool, and I thought it was really weird.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I was about 12 at the time because it was 2011.
Yeah.
So I was 12.
That was 2012.
No, it was going to be 2012.
No, the world was going to end at the end of 2012.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought, well, anyways, I was 11 or 12, and so I coughed and had that. And
we were not in Canada when the world ended. I know
Yeah.
that. But maybe this was a different time.
Yeah.
Because we used to do a lot of trips. Because we were also in Mexico one of those years, I think. Yeah, so, yeah, there could have been something there. Or it could be that the thing I heard about causing autoimmunes is wrong.
Yeah.
Because I think that... So, did I ever tell you about, what's his name? Michael Pollan. He has this book, which is quoted all the time, which I didn't realize, which is eat not too much and mostly vegetables. And our mom and stepdad just quote this thing all the time. So his book is really interesting. I haven't read it, but I read about it. And he points out in the book that we haven't identified all nutrients. And upon learning that, which was only earlier this year, it really makes you think that any nutritional advice is nonsense.
Yeah.
Because if we don't know all nutrients, then you can say, well, eat bugs, they're high in protein. It's like, yeah, but maybe there's something that we need that bugs don't have.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I've heard this, bugs can cause severe allergic reactions to people who are allergic to shellfish.
Yeah.
And also, in my anti-science thing, people don't want to eat bugs. And so our mom's puppy, the dog never ate anything. Like, she was wasting away. And we were desperate to try to get her to eat. And so we were putting table scraps on her food. It was like, okay, we'll put our dinner, we'll put like a bit of beef, a bit of fish, a bit of chicken on there.
Yeah.
And that would get her to eat like part of her meal, but the moment the juices stopped, she wouldn't eat her meal. And we're like, oh, great, that's no good. So one time my mom was just desperate. She's like, I'm just going to give you chicken, like straight up chicken. Yeah. Like, here, we'll just eat food, eat human food, just have some chicken. She didn't want it.
Yeah.
And we were like, she doesn't like chicken. So we looked at her food and it's like mostly chicken. And we've switched her food to beef, and now she eats more than the advised amount. She's still skinny because she's like a crazy athlete, but she eats like, she's like a 45-pound dog. She eats 3.5 cups a day or something. Yeah. So if you're a dog person, that's more than she should be having in theory. But she's you can see her ribs from like a distance. So I don't think she's
got these weird knobbly ribs that you can feel at the back, and you think she's got lumps, but they're just her ribs.
But you can see her ribs like visually. So I don't think she's if anything, she needs more food. Yeah. But she's just eating food like she'll eat all her food in the morning, eat it all at night. So she's totally fine. And what happened was actually so we could get her to eat duck. So we switched her food to duck first from chicken. We're like, oh, she doesn't like chicken. And that was a bit better, but she still wasn't eating much. And we had these duck treats, which are one of the few things we could get her to eat semi-regularly. Yeah. We had a friend over, and they're like, hey, you want a duck treat? It's like, no way. It's like, what? It's like, no, my dog's a pit bull. They're allergic to duck. Wait, yeah, they're allergic to all poultry. We're like, wait, pit bulls are allergic to poultry? Shouldn't this be general knowledge? Shouldn't this be more out there? Yeah. And we're like, our dog's got a bit of pit bull in her. We can't just, geez, okay. So, yeah, we got away from all poultry, and now she eats like crazy. So, your body knows what it wants. Yeah. And I think if you don't want bugs, there's probably a reason for it. Well, and the only cultures on Earth that eat bugs have no other options. Yeah. They're starving, or they're missing completely some nutrient. Like, the one place, it's a Polynesian place. They've got sweet potatoes, which account for basically everything you could need but protein, as far as we're aware, because we don't know about all the things. So yeah, what Michael Pollan's book said is, eat what you want. He's like, just eat what makes you feel good. And that seems to make sense to me, because we have no idea what we're doing. We can't be Lucifer, the angel of rationality.
It's sometimes so, like, I'm pretty strict to extent with my diet, but sometimes it's going along, and I'm thinking about, it's like, I go to a store sometimes, and I'll just get something. I'll like, I just really crave that.
I just want that beaver butt juice.
Well, maybe. I mean, and so I'll stop and actually look, like, I know I shouldn't have this. So what's in this here? And so I look at everything that's in it and think about it. And so one of the things I did was, there's like these cookies I can sort of eat versus a lot of other things. Like, I have a really high craving for these things. So I'll get these cookies, but also, what do these cookies have? They have a lot of fat. And so it's like, I'm going to buy beef that's like not the reduced fat beef. I'll have that. And what else does this have? Okay, is this here and this here? So I'll get those things. And it's like, so grabbing this donut, going nom nom nom. Yeah. It's like,
maybe you need some fat.
Yeah, it's like there's something in my mind that's like,
eat some fatty beef. Get some good. I've found that where I'll make like pancakes out of plantain, and I'm eating those, and they've got their topping and whatnot, and I'll think I feel empty. Like I need like a leaf. No, I need like a leaf. Yeah. Like so I'll grab like a handful of kale and or spinach, and it's like, yep, that was it. And suddenly I feel like it actually feels like I'm going all lightheaded. And then I eat like a big downing of like kale or spinach or something, and it's like that was the hole it needed. So I've actually occasionally when I make them, I just blend some spinach in because you can't taste it, and it like fulfills that craving need. And fat is really hard to come by in this house because our mom and stepdad are weird. They don't like fat, and fat is so important for health. Like it prevents depression. It increases testosterone. You know
what I do with the fish whenever we have it here?
Yeah,
I eat the healthiest part of it.
Yeah.
Well, and they joke about that.
Yeah, no, they've got this weird... So what my mom does now when she like tortures steak is she'll... I'm not saying I can cook steak either, but she just... she just ovens it until it's dry, which, I mean, fair enough. I can't do much better. But... And it's not healthy exactly. Like, we eat it all the time. And you have to bake it. You can't fry steak all the time if you eat it all the time, because that will not be good for you.
Yes.
So it's fine. But
dude, I fry my steak a lot of time without any oil. I just let its own grease cook itself.
But even caramelizing steak isn't going to be great for you either. Like a high heat, and then like in raw inside, you're gonna be getting.
Yeah, it's not. It's cooked all of it. I cook very thin steaks.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's still
and I'm no expert on what's healthy and what's not. But in theory, fried foods don't seem to be good for you because you're essentially creating sugar, among other things. But they're delicious. And plus frying food can cause like lung cancer and stuff. So I mean, like if you do it all the time, like 8 hours a day for your entire life type of thing. Like chefs are the only people that are really in danger of that. Yeah. But it can occur. I
mean, sometimes they use a frying pan to boil stuff.
That's probably fine. I mean, it's just there's not much of a difference. Yeah. The act of frying is intense heat on a small part of it.
Yeah.
Whereas baking and boiling it's surrounded by an even heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're boiling water in a frying pan, that's fine. You're not. I mean, it might be bad for the frying pan. I don't know, but probably not. So what they'll do now is she'll cut the fat off of the steaks, and then I'll just get it for myself. Like she'll cook it, and I'll eat that because what I've found when I eat fat is it feels like my brain was like a shriveled up sponge, and then it like swells, but not in like it's pressing inside. It's like, oh, like, you know, if you drink water and your tongue like suddenly isn't all shriveled.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like for my brain if I eat fat. I think I desperately do need fat and animal fat because like olive oil helps quite a bit, but I think it is animal fat that helps. There's something in, and for men especially, fat is apparently really important. But of course, I say that, but like nutritional science, it's just all whack. Like, do what feels good because it's all whack. But you do know when you're abusing yourself and when you're not. Well, now there is an exception.
One of the things I've found just before that, for paying attention to your health, is pay attention to when you go to the bathroom. Actually, like if you have other underlying conditions that can affect it, but going to the bathroom should be an easy process and it shouldn't be terrible smelling.
Yes.
If it is, there's something else. Like if you've been having more sugar lately, it smells horribly sweet. Like it's just, not to get too much into gratuitous details, but is something to pay attention to.
Yeah, you should be able to drink that water when you're done.
No.
It should be better going out than it is going in.
No.
But, where was it? Oh, yeah, so the exception would be, I've noticed, like you're talking about cravings. There are occasions when I want something really badly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a sign that I shouldn't have it. Like, there'll be things, it's like let's say nectarine. It's like, I want a nectarine more than anything on earth. All I can think about is eating that nectarine. It's like, I think that means I probably shouldn't have it. Because that doesn't seem like a healthy want. This seems like there's some sort of addictive drive saying, like, take that thing and...
Get the sugar from it.
That might be what it is. Juice. I don't know. But there is sometimes I have this, like, drive of, like, must have the nectarine. Like, or something like that.
Yeah.
Really interesting. We talked in one of the Shedcasts about you do something to excess and then that confirms your theory that it was bad for you.
Yeah.
So I tried something the other day where I with my throat like the way it is, cheese has been kind of rough on me, and so has like acidic food like rhubarb and whatnot, and nectarines. So I had a day where I had nectarines and cheese, I think. And so I just picked the smallest nectarine and I cooked it, like I boiled it, and I had about a third the amount of cheese I normally would. Felt totally fine.
Yeah.
I was like, because I listened to what you said, and you said you confirm your feeling that it's bad for you by overdoing it, and so I was like, I'm just gonna have a little bit of cheese. I'm gonna have a little. I'm gonna have the smallest nectarine. Now I think the problem with that is you're burning willpower a lot of the time, because I didn't want to have a little piece of cheese. I wanted to have a big piece of cheese. Yeah. So I think cold turkey might be better in some situations. Yes. But with the nectarine, that was something I could handle. I made a fruit sauce out of it. That's all I needed. That was fine. But with cheese, this is sad to only eat a little bit of cheese, right? You gotta go all in. So I don't know if I could do it with cheese. I think it's all or nothing.
Yeah, certain things are spice of life, and certain things you get addicted to.
Yeah. Well, with cheese, I wouldn't even say it's addicted necessarily. It's just I don't think I can handle a small amount because that will turn into a large amount. Yeah. So that is kind of addiction, I guess. Yeah. But I can be pretty fine not eating cheese whatsoever. But if I start, I got to keep going.
And that's just that one thing from Alan Watts where he talks about the Zen master who smokes. And people are like, "Why are you doing smoking? Food is very bland without salt. And a human is very bland without salt."
Well, the other thing is, I really don't think, like, your diet, your sleeping, your exercise, they're all helpful. And if you have other problems, they can be the difference between making it and not making it. Yeah. But it's stress at the end of the day. That, I've told you, right, where if I'm not stressed, like I'm living on my own, I'm sleeping on my own schedule, I can eat whatever I want, basically, and I feel totally fine.
This thing, I live with our dad currently, even though like we're separated. Yeah. But he travels quite often.
Yeah, roommates.
Yeah. He travels quite often. And whenever he's not there, it feels like I don't have someone looking over my shoulder. Yeah. And it's just like that.
You guys aren't even in the same house. It's a shared complex.
Yeah. With that just a little bit less, so like I don't feel like there's someone looking over my shoulder, I find my ability to do things greatly increased.
Yes, absolutely. And that is, I think that's... Now, the thing is, if you don't have another option, like you're living with him and let's say you don't have another option there, then the sleep and the diet and everything will make that difference between you being able to do stuff at all or being able to just feel like you're in that little rough state. But if you're totally relaxed, you might actually... I don't know how you could do the study in any sort of ethical way, but if you were a non-stressful person, I think you might be able to smoke. Now, the problem with smoking, and a lot of these other things, alcohol...
you do them because you're stressed.
Not necessarily. Being overweight, alcohol, smoking... But there's an aspect of smoking that's cool. Yeah. And there's an aspect of it that's contemplative. Yeah.
Like a pipe.
Yeah. Or you're just going for a walk with your cigarette and you're just looking at the beautiful currents in the air and that's it gives you focus. It's a meditative it's a focus. It's a point of meditation. Yeah. The problem with them though is that they affect everyone around you. Yeah. Like I didn't think about this before, but even like being overweight, it like affects everyone around you because you
There's a yo mama joke in there and gravity being involved. Or water getting splashed.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking if you're overweight, right, like really overweight, you your health is bad, so people need to help you, like accommodate you. You know, you don't need a second seat on the plane. You need help carrying stuff up staircases. You need better furniture, that sort of thing, right? Yeah. And so you become sort of a black hole. Like because you kind of dampen everyone else's life around you. Yeah. You kind of draw everything.
It's just making me think about this Reddit thing, which is this boy saying like, my dad asked me, is it alright going to school for like having just two dads? And I actually kind of like it because people can't use yo mama jokes on me. And then the comment directly after that was, yo mama's so ugly you had to get a second dad.
So, here you go from there. So you're a YouTuber.
Yes.
Speaking of offensive things.
I do the yubbly YouTubes.
So, the yo mama joke, like, I don't know if that's considered offensive these days. Maybe it's one of the sacred things that isn't. Have you seen Family Guy's been getting sick of, like, wokeness? They've had a few, like, anti-woke rants. Like, Quagmire had one where he's like, he says, Peter makes a joke, and then Quagmire runs over to him. He's like, "You can't say that. It's 2019. That's a time-tested joke that people have laughed at for hundreds of years, and it's not okay anymore in this last year."
I haven't seen that. No.
And then Stewie had this super long rant where he's just like, the woke moralists come into everything, and they do this and this, to the point where he's almost like crazy, and then Brian points out that he's crazy. But I have noticed a lot of streamers especially do this, but YouTubers do it as well, where they will, whatever the situation might be, they'll say, "All right, boys, here we go," or girls, or whatever. They'll do like this. They'll have a second thought where they'll throw in the girls, and then they'll have this panicked or whatever. So, oh no.
Well, I know someone who doesn't have any of that panic. She has greeting boys, girls, and everyone else. And it's just very calm measure she does that.
But even then, it's a bit weird. Like, who are you? Well, maybe you get the audience you cater to.
Yeah, well, you do to extent. Sometimes I say ladies and gentlemen, and that is purely an homage to Total Biscuit. That's why I do it, the ladies and gentlemen.
Because there's no women watch. Actually, you have quite a few for some reason.
10%.
I mean, that's more than you'd think in some ways. But
yeah,
not when you do Warhammer stuff. I actually think, not to invoke White's Law here, but if you're a trans...
White's Law?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Well, it's the thing I made up, right? Yeah. Where all conversations become talking about trans stuff. But
if Hitler was trans...
Yeah. So if you're a trans woman, you're a guy that says you're a girl, and you like Warhammer, you're not allowed to be trans. That's my rule. Because there are no women who like Warhammer. None.
Yep.
If you go to Games Workshop and wait every day for a year, not a single woman will come in that door unless she's buying something for her son.
Or husband. Or boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's just so Grim Dank is a Reddit for Warhammer. And one of them was this girl posting up, "My boyfriend's been really excited. He's been saving a bunch of money up. I think he's going to buy me a ring." And she's like texting to her friends, and he bought something called a Titan World Terminator. What on earth is that? The guy like bought an $8,000 model.
The other thing is, oh, that's hilarious. The
Warlord Titan, that was it. Yeah, Warlord Titan Terminator.
Are the Dreadnought or no, the
no,
bigger thing?
They're epic. They're the epic scale things with like the giant guns and have.
Right.
If you play it in normal rules, they have like 30 wounds.
Yeah, I think the same people that are all about representation, right, are the same people saying there needs to be female Space Marines, but they can't. They have to choose one argument or the other.
There's actually a trap in the female Space Marine. All right, so here's the trap in lies female Space Marine. So you're sexist if you want them, and you're sexist if you don't want them.
Why's that?
Well, so the people who do want them want, ooh, pretty Space Marine girls.
Yeah.
And so that's sexist because they're going to be, this Games Workshop is Warhammer.
Yeah.
They're going to look like the nuns with guns or whatever extent. So that's sexist. But then you have to have them because it can't be an all boys club.
Well, they want the tough action girls that are in everything now. With the half short hair, half shaved, flipped over. That's all you see. That's what they want. They want the He-Man lady or the whatever, every single thing. The Terminator from The Last of Us 2.
Even if you've seen the old, all the models were ugly back then, but the old models for the female Space Marines, they actually do exist.
Yeah. Well, for the Sisters of Battle.
No, they're Space Marines.
Oh.
In first edition, they had male and female Space Marines, and why they stopped making female Space Marines is nobody bought them. That is purely marketing. That is why there's not, they've made the lore now. But originally, when the game was Rogue Trader and they were going about and the story wasn't solidified, people wouldn't buy the females. And so that's why they stopped making them.
But it is also interesting. I think representation is a very flawed argument. But if you think it is a real argument, then Warhammer is already representative because there's no women in like the Sisters of Battle. If anything, should be removed if you want the game to be more representative.
And the Sisters of Silence?
Yeah, and the Orcs. And the Tyranids.
No, the Orcs. What is British people have a lot of? Football lads.
Right.
What are Orcs?
Yeah, but are football lads playing Warhammer?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I think they're busy going, knocking you. I only know two people.
In the UK, Warhammer is far more popular, and there's actually even this thing, is this YouTuber who's talking about it, and he's saying, like, know how young boys play video games, and it's like sort of most young boys who play video games, some grow out, some don't.
Yeah.
He's saying, in the UK, if you're a young boy, you had a Warhammer phase that you might have kept going or grew out of. Like, they have games workshops in every town on the corner shop. Like, you played Warhammer or, like, enjoyed or looked at the models.
So, I only know 2 people. Like, of all the people I know, only 2 of them play Warhammer.
Yeah.
And you and I don't count because we don't actually play Warhammer, really.
Yeah.
Like we don't paint minifigs. We have some of the rule books. We do some of the fights, but we don't.
I make a bit of terrain.
We don't have the armies. We don't have the. We don't paint the miniatures. We don't do any of that. We don't have most of the rule books.
Yeah.
2
what are you
people.
talking about? We have tons of rule books for.
So I'm going to say their names.
7th edition. What? We have tons of the rule books.
Well, yeah, for 5th edition, yeah. But that was because they're really fun to read.
Yeah.
And also the rules are cool. Yeah, but we don't have any figures or armies.
Worked a whole summer going to our neighbor's house and taking care of their pets to get you like 5 of those books through various different questionable means online.
I found I think it's the Chaos Dwarfs or whatever. I wanted to get you a copy. So rare, like so hard to find. I found a copy for like $1, and I ordered it, and they're like free shipping. And I was like, free shipping copy. You notice that you don't have a Chaos Dwarves copy.
Yeah.
They said, sorry, the book's condition was unacceptable. We destroyed it. But let me decide. Yeah. I don't care if it's torn in half. Just give me the book.
Yeah. It's one of the few we don't have from 5th edition. We actually have an almost complete collection of the books for that print.
So I'll tell you the names of the 2 people that I know that are actually into Warhammer. They have the armies, they paint them, they do the fights, all that. Brett, Boris.
Both B's.
And you know the people I'm talking about, right?
I know Brett, I think.
Yeah, my friend from daycare.
Yeah, who's Boris?
The guy that used to work for Tesla?
Ah, right, Boris.
Yeah, I don't want to say too many details about them. But
sorry, another thing I saw on Reddit was siblings. And it's only child. It's talking about the 4 kinds of siblings. It had only child, eldest, and youngest. And that's all the information it had. And I actually need to think about the elder or younger's name for that name to have any meaning in my brain.
Right, so
yes,
those 2 people are the only 2 people I know that are into Warhammer. Mm-hmm. Now, what do they have in common?
They're both muscleheads.
They're both muscleheads. They're both very cool muscleheads. Everyone, they're super charismatic. Everyone likes them. Everyone wants to be their friend. Everyone is their friend. Yeah. See, that's the thing about charisma that all these teenage things get totally wrong, made by vengeful authors.
Yeah.
The popular people everyone likes, and they like everyone.
Well, also, so maybe the author was also like this person got targeted by bullying, and it's like, oh, everyone bullies them.
Yeah.
So in my grade, basically everyone got along. We had a very, very friendly group of people. There were people who were very popular, like, oh, you want to sit at their table, and it's like a round thing. Like, Romney, he's beyond here. He was actually extremely popular.
Yeah, he's a charismatic guy.
Yeah. Yes. There were some people who were absolute charisma vacuums.
Those are the kind of people that grow up to be writers and write about high school.
Well, like his experience might have been I would talk to him because we had some shared interests, and it was fun talking to the guy every once in a while. And I get along with most people, and like even people are like, oh, they have like trouble fitting in. I'll talk to them, have friendships with them because I don't know, maybe I'm just that way. But like this guy, terrible hygiene. Like, that was one of the things, is like, he had really bad hygiene.
I mean, Romney used to as well.
Yeah.
But... no offense, Romney.
Yeah. But, like, this guy, like, in grade 12, really bad hygiene. And he didn't help himself at all. Like, he was very unfit. He was very unjustly vengeful in his attitude towards people.
Yeah.
Of, oh, you're so cruel to me, so why do I even try? You're just these...
Yeah, resentment is a poison. Yeah. It's a horrible poison.
Yeah, so he had that sort of resentment, vengeance in him. And, like, when he was interested in something, or you're talking to him about like a subject he liked, it was generally fun to talk to him. And the guy was a weeb as well, and so that was another, I don't know, thing against him.
Yeah.
But like, I enjoyed anime, so we talk about it sometimes. And when he's talking about that, he was actually a person who you could talk to, and it's like an interesting conversation. But then he'd like go on a different subject matter, and his hatred of humanity would bleed through. and he was generally unpleasant to be around.
Yeah. There's some people just don't get it, and it's a shame. But you're your own problem in some ways. There was a kid in my grade, I think it was,
Pearls before.
where we were sitting. We had a table we'd go to all the time, me and my friends, and kid was sitting there before us.
Yeah.
Knew about him, didn't really know him, but he's in our grade. So we sat down. We're like, okay, whatever. He's here, and he's just sitting there. And from his perspective, I bet he was very lonely, and he's like, I'm going to do something brave. Those guys seem friendly. I'm going to sit there, because there was 2 tables of people our grade. One had like 50, one had the 6 or 8 of us.
Yeah.
And so that was probably more approachable. He's like, I got to meet people my own age. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to go choose a table. I'm just going to sit at it, see what happens. So good on him for that.
Yeah.
Actually, great on him for that. Got to be brave. And he took the first step there. So we're talking and we're hanging out. And we're just laughing, talking back and forth. And we toss a few, you can toss a conversation to a person. We toss a few his way. Just doesn't say anything. Mm-hmm. Now, actually, he has a massive speech impediment. I got to know the guy later. Yeah. He has this horrible speech impediment. He can't talk, really. Yeah. So that could have been part of it there. Mm-hmm. But you think he could have at least laughed or something, like, hey, what about this? And he's like, ah. But he just sat there quietly and ate. And it's like, you got to do something. You've got to put yourself forward. If you can't, like, I don't know, mime at us or something. Yeah. Got to do something, man. And
social anxiety from speech impediment would definitely be a thing. Yeah,
definitely. So he put the funny thing is 2 of the other guys there had speech impediments too. Yeah. My best friend, and then this other guy that you wouldn't know has a speech impediment, except when you make him think. Like, he doesn't really get, or make him nervous, sort of. Yeah. Then it really kicks up. Yeah. But but this guy, like, it's actually to the point where he can't really speak English. Like, it's bad. It's the sort of one where they go, like, how you doing? It's like, okay. So you can get, like, a single word after, like, a minute type of thing. Yeah. So it's rough. Like, that must be awful. But, yeah, there's definitely an aspect of, you got to put the work in, man. You got to put the work in.
I wonder if people with speech impairments, if learning, like, sign language could be helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting because
I don't know if you have a speech pattern with your hands or not, or it's like throat related, but even talking and doing the sign language at the same time, wonder if you could actually sort of sync those.
Well, I'm curious because I don't think sign language would help, and this is why my best friend doesn't stutter when he sings. So I think it's mental. Yeah. And now maybe...
Well, that's why I thought learning sign language so you don't go through the mental thing of the stuttering, and then...
Yeah, you could bypass it potentially. Or sign language is a bit more precise. Yeah. So it could be that you have less opportunity to slur. Because you slur a lot. You've been dealing with a speech impediment your whole life. Mm-hmm. And
also, if I was to do sign language, I'd probably slur because my hands aren't stable. I actually have... It's like palsy, but my hands actually just don't have stability to them.
Our mum yesterday, I was talking about how my hands are doing way better than I have been. I was able to thread a needle the other day. I haven't been able to thread a needle in my life. Yeah. And I was just like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. It was great. I was telling her, look at this, I can thread a needle. And she's like, have you ever noticed that your brother's hands shake like crazy? I was like, yes. He's like, yeah. Well, every time he tries to show me a video on his phone, it's like, hey, look at this cool animation that takes place during a Richter 9 earthquake.
So I have this thing I like to do. So when I work with chemicals and beakers, I actually usually work with quite big things because, like, small precision things are a bad idea. But so, those emergency candles? The thing I like to do is hold them with a metal vise and then have a lighter underneath and melt the wax. Yeah. However, if the wax is too full, I'm holding it with the vise. It's full of molten wax. It's like, okay, I should put this down. And I noticed that my hand's shaking while, like, holding this metal vise. And I'm like, don't spill it, don't spill it, don't spill it. Okay, I gotta figure it out.
But yeah, I think... there could be an aspect of precision potentially because it's very easy to talk about not rumor. It's very easy to be lazy, but with sign language you could be late. You can be lazy, but that might be enough to kick you over the edge. I don't know, but I do think it's mental more than anything because, like I said, my friend can sing just fine. Yeah, and we even tried getting him talking as singing, but the issue.
Gregorian chant.
The issue was that the advantage of singing was not the singing itself, it was the memorization. Yeah. So something he can do from heart flawlessly is the V for Vendetta speech. a very long
Yes.
speech full of V's. He can do that flawlessly. So it's about memorization. So what he could do, and what you could probably do as well, I'm not sure, yours is different slightly. You could potentially plan everything you said, memorize it, and then say it. But that would take forever.
Well, my speech impairment is a lot like my writing impairment.
It's due to laziness and poor ethic.
So, I was wondering, I was writing out a sentence, why the heck is there a V in front of the word the?
Yeah.
And then why is the word very missing its V? And so I was like, the very, and so I put down V at the start of the and then airy.
So I can do that with typing and also playing the piano. And what works for me is slowing down. And if I slow down, I start not allowing myself to dither, I guess, that you'd call it, maybe. And then I can speed up again once I have established myself. So I wonder if that would work for you, is slowing down, getting established, and then coming back up to speed.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's just an idea.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to deny that you have it.
I already type at a very slow pace, so me slowing down when typing would bring it to a crawl.
Yeah, but you don't have, you just have to catch up. You just have to take that 15 seconds to I'm going to keep slowing down until I'm writing at an accurate pace. And then your brain gets into gear, and then you bring it back up.
2 years later, I have written 5 sentences.
Well, no, I think you just have to go down and then bring it back up. And because for me, my writing is a mess because I'm so hasty to get it up, right? But if I slow down, I can write at almost the same speed.
I do that when I write slowly, though, unless I'm actually really thinking about the spelling.
Yeah, I just think it's... look.
But if I have to spend time thinking about spelling, then I can't spend time thinking about writing it well.
What I hate more than anything is unsolicited advice, so I'm just going to leave it there. But because it's very annoying. You have developed your method through an entire lifetime. I am going to give you something that you can maybe tweak the dial with, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, unsolicited advice isn't actually bad, but it feels so annoying because you feel bad for not wanting to accept the person's advice because you're like, I'm doing my thing. I don't want to redefine my life based off what you said, but I feel bad that I don't want to redefine my life off your easy words. Yeah. It's like, no, you shouldn't feel bad at all. They just are tossing ideas to the wind. Yeah. You are the one that has to restructure the way you live.
Exactly.
My friend lives over there. Is so frustrating sometimes where it was like, he was saying, why don't you, I think I've talked about this before, where it's like, oh, why don't you just try, working a little bit and then you can get it back, your feet under you, get back into it. It's like, no, working's not the problem. Yeah. The problem is now.
Well, actually, on that matter of the working as problem, so someone I was working with, she was working under the social program. Yeah. And it was because I don't want to attribute, but like she was wearing a mask, very cover up, like hood, like using the mask basically to cover herself more. And it was like super intense social anxiety and like having mental breakdowns, like couldn't go to work, like coming to work once a week. It's like she had a panic attack, couldn't come to work. And so it was like completely like unable to work. And the thing about that is I went to school with her. I think she was a grade below me. Yeah. And she wasn't like that when we were going to school. And so I was like, what changed? Because like she seemed like a shell of a person, of like barely able to interact with the world.
So with agrophobia,
I don't know if it's agrophobia, like that's fear of openness.
It's kind of, sort of.
Because the case with her working where she worked, there's like no people there and like very simple instructions, very simple tasks, just doing small amount of work.
No, agrophobia is kind of extreme sanity. It's the fear of going outside. It's not the fear of openness. It's the fear of everything. It's the idea that if you do anything different, you will die. Yeah. And what can cause it is you do something, right? You're just going about your life. Let's say you're going to the grocery store.
Yeah, this is all from 12 Rules for Life.
Does he talk about this?
Yes. This is one of the things he talks about in the first book. We've talked about this, me and you, before as well, and that's from that.
Well, so, okay, something goes wrong. Yeah. And then you go back home, and you're like, wow, that was horrible. You go out again. Maybe this is his example even then. Yeah. You go to the grocery store again, and...
You're not looking for it?
Not even. You're just like, wow, that was really bad. Whew.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store. You're like, I'm just gonna go to the grocery store. Something bad happens again. Doesn't have to be the same thing at all. And now you're like, wait a minute, the grocery store is bad.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking about it. And then if something happens again, that's bad. You know, the amount of times might vary. You are now validated in your belief that the grocery store is dangerous. And then what happens is you say, okay, I'm going to avoid the grocery store. And so the grocery store becomes this bigger and bigger threat. It becomes more and more scary. And what that means is, well,
it becomes a dragon under your rug.
Yeah, and it grows until you notice it.
Yes.
Like the story of the dragon.
Yes.
There's a poster of the grocery store. That reminds me of that horrible place. And now you can't look at posters. And now posters are a dangerous thing. Posters have become a dragon as well. And then, oh no, and then, okay, walls. They hold posters. Walls are now dangerous. So agoraphobia, basically what agoraphobia is if I cross the street,
of fear.
Yeah, if I cross the street, I could be hit by a car.
Yeah.
If I get in the elevator, it could snap and it could fall down.
Yeah.
And so her going to the that could have been quite good for her. Like you start with a garden. That's a pretty great place to start if you have social anxiety. There's like no one there, but you're getting out of the house.
Yeah.
That's probably a pretty good start. And yeah, if there's a pandemic, yeah, I could see that like
giving you agoraphobia.
Especially with some of the narratives that were pushed. Like it's like, look, you have a 1% chance of death if you get it at all, if you're old.
Yeah.
Like that's not good. 1% is very high.
Yes.
But it's not, you're not flipping a coin every time you cross the street type thing. Like it's very high, but it's, if you're young, you're fit. Like the most important thing you can do is stay fit.
Yeah.
Like get enough sun, get enough vitamin D, stay fit. That sort of thing. And I'm not saying that don't get a vaccine or anything. I'm just saying that if you are healthy, the odds of bad things happening to you are much lower. If you are in the right state, life will be easier for you.
Our aunt was overweight and she was having a ton of knee problems, and the doctor's saying you're probably going to have to get knee surgery. However, and it's like it's going to be both knees, it's going to be pretty intense surgery, it's going to be a really long time recovering.
So she became a bodybuilder.
Yeah, however, you could try to strengthen your knees and you could lose the weight strain on top of your body. And so for several years she became a bodybuilder, and now she's no longer does the bodybuilding. Like she still works out and she's not overweight anymore. Like especially to the extent she was, because she was actually pretty hefty.
I saw this other. It was this.
So, but she didn't need the knee surgery.
Yeah.
It's like
this is a crime against God. Okay.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
It makes me mad.
No, it makes me sad whenever I think about it. Makes me sad.
What is the makes me mad? Like,
I don't know why you did that. I was just copying you.
No, it is something I can't remember.
I saw another chiropractic video I was watching. Was this young woman, probably like 19, 20, came in. And she had really bad back and bad joints. Skinny person, not overweight. And she was talking about how she had considered breast reduction surgery. She had like no muscle on her. And it's like, how is that even a thought? Invasive surgery before exercise. And so I don't know why this has come up so much in my life. Like it's only come up like 3 times, but it should have come up 0 times in my opinion. It's probably because we've got like fantasy stuff around. We play fantasy board games, fantasy video games. Yeah. And our mom always does these little, not always, like 3 times in my life, but she does these snide remarks of like, women don't look like that. They could never look like that. Like women's breasts aren't that big. Or they have to be fat for them to be that big, or they get implants. And it's not something you want to hear from a parent in the first place. It's just kind of weird. But also it's, leave me have fun with my toys, Mom. Jeez. But there are people...
It's funny, actually.
But the thing is, right? There are people like that out there naturally.
Yeah.
And they get breast reduction surgery instead of becoming jacked Amazons. They have the genetics to become the jacked Amazon. Most jacked women just look like thuggish men. And fine, like good on you. But these women have the chance, and instead they go and get invasive surgery. Yeah. It's like God hands you a gift and you spit in his mouth.
Well, our grandmother doesn't even have the pierced ears. She has those horrible clips of torture because you don't...
Yeah, you don't desecrate God's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, I don't know. She's kind of overweight. I mean, is a pierced ear worse than just, like, eating better? Yeah. She has so many health problems from her food. And, although she should be losing quite a bit of weight soon. She's going in for some surgery. Uh-huh. Well, I don't know how much weight, but it's just kind of... Yeah. I don't actually know how serious or invasive the surgery is, but I hope it's not serious because that's a terrible joke if it is. But it's still funny if it is. It's probably funnier the more serious the surgery is. Like if she has to have both her legs amputated, then that's funny.
No.
So yeah, as a YouTuber, you don't often
no
have to. Now, the one thing you did, you said you had like 300 people raid your stream, and you were all high and mighty above it all. And I don't have an answer to this, because that might have been the correct response. But my question is, would gratitude have been out of the question?
So, you could say, this is...
Can you speak in a slightly higher register?
I'm thinking, sorry.
Yes, but with slightly more pain as well.
No, there's no pain.
So, you could say that having these people on my stream was a benefit to me. But I had to ask myself, by being grateful, am I just pandering to someone and giving them a perception of power over me?
I wasn't even grateful, and here lies the reason. So when I have this thing on my channel, which is in my Discord, I have advertise yourself. So I can basically force everyone who wants to watch my video to go there so they don't clutter my channel, and then I can in general chat advertise my own things without having to compete with them in my own space.
Yeah.
And so people can also mute that channel, do whatever they want. And I partly do that because it's about me.
Yeah.
The Discord is about me.
Yeah.
The other reason is I'm
the biggest lobster in this pond, bucko.
I am doing them a favor.
Yeah.
Because
you don't want to be seen desperate like that.
Yeah, well also, so you know that whole thing where Jordan, the Captain Sparkles.
Yeah.
And he showed off that kid's channel, go check it out. And so an influx of subscribers, some people watched it. So that kid, depending on if he's quality, then people might stick around. However, if you're of main quality and you're trying to move along, you're going to get a brief blip of influx, a bunch of subscribers, views on one video, and then the subscribers are not going to continue to watch what you make, and you have that one video that worked, and the YouTube algorithm stuff doesn't know why you have dead subscribers. You have a giant glot of dead subscribers, and it's views without earning it. And the earning it, we talked about earning before, what's earning it? Earning it is very important in YouTube, because when you've earned it, the people come back and watch again, because what you've done is quality. So in the case of a raid, I think 3 or 4 people stuck around and continued watching. And one guy actually donated money, and I thanked him for that, because it's oh yeah, he did the YouTube subscribe thing money. He's oh yeah, thank you didn't have to do that. But yeah, thanks. And I was grateful for that. I actually was, because that's very nice.
Yeah.
But in the other case, these people came in, and I was having conversations with people on my stream, because my streams are quite small. I have maybe 10 people viewing, and 3 people interact. And I basically talk with them. They type, I talk.
Yeah.
And this flood of people were spamming, eat your mic, do this, or just spamming things and saying it. And there was a huge glut of them. I couldn't talk with other people. I was having trouble concentrating. And sure, I had a big jump in subscribers because a bunch of them did subscribe. But I don't know if I got a giant dump in dead subscribers or not.
Right.
And I don't want dead subscribers, because dead subscribers deal damage to a channel.
Right. But beyond that, the people just spamming you full of nonsense, that's... Yeah, you're not going to reply to that.
Yeah, I was trying to, I was answering to some of the things that were more sane.
So my question was more, I don't know what you said because I didn't watch it, but did you say something like, oh, thank you so-and-so for the raid or something like that, or not even, didn't even address it, or what was your...
I was oh, I'm getting raided. Because they said raid time, I was oh, I'm getting raided, and I sort of know the channel who did it. He's saying I'm responsible.
Yeah.
But he's getting entertainment out of it. It's a different change of scene. But I didn't ask for it, and one of the cons, someone does you a kindness, and you're oh, thank you. However, in this case here, I don't know if it's a kindness. He might think he's doing a nice thing.
So I've seen a lot of raids, right, that are essentially, hey, this looks cool. You guys like me, and I think this guy looks like my content, so you'll probably like this, and I'm done streaming.
Yeah.
So how about? So it's kind of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Yeah.
You send them my way when they're done with you. I send them your way when they're done with me.
This raid felt like he raids to...
the sort of people that film themselves giving stuff to homeless people?
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like in some ways. Not even giving stuff, but it's it's amusing to raid a small channel and flood it and see how it reacts. And it's just... Yeah,
I do think as well... No, I wasn't there. It could have been really annoying. Yes, sir. Keep going. I won't even say it.
I didn't want to... I had a plan of what I was doing. You're doing something.
Yeah.
Let's say... All right, here's the case. So, and this could be very pointed to you, the way you mentally do stuff. So let's say you're with a group of friends.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for like small group of friends, and you're out doing something. And then this guy runs up to you, and it's like, this, sir.
Okay, so here, I got one, okay? You're hanging out with friends, having a great time. And there's this guy just staring in the window, standing in the field, crying, wanting to play with you.
No, it's not that. It's a different situation. That
Crying in the field is based.
No, that is a terrible behavior that I should not have done.
You were a tiny little kid.
No, it is, so a guy comes up to you, and, so a guy runs up to you, right, and you're with your friends, and you're, like, doing whatever, and he just starts chucking pennies at you.
Yeah.
Like, handfuls of coins, like, constantly, and there's a big crowd of people around him, and they're all doing that, and basically, you're into something, you're doing something, and so, it's, like, kind of nice that he's giving you money, or attention. Well, it's not anything of substantial value or purpose. They're kind of annoying, and you had a plan of what you're going to do, and this guy's interrupting it. And you want to go along, like you were doing something, and then this comes in and interrupts your laid plans that you were doing.
I wish I had a handful of pennies right now. Because on the counter argument, a YouTuber is a dancing monkey, so dance, monkey, dance.
Well, in my expressed opinion as well on that, I refuse to be a dancing monkey. Like, even with the streaming, like, oh, do this or like give a donation, or like, I refuse. Like, if you give me money and it's like, oh, can you do this? It's not, oh, I'll fall over my feet to do it. I'll consider it, but I am not going to be a dancing monkey. I am going to, I don't know if it's even holding integrity.
Yeah, actually, no. I paid you to build a safety rail. I don't think you ever built me a safety rail.
Yeah.
You just kept dying instead.
Yep. It's not my style to build a safety rail.
It's like, no, I am going to fail this challenge over and over again.
To be fair, I didn't die from falling off stuff.
No.
I died one time from stuff falling on me.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think you ever died from falling.
Yeah.
I don't think you died once from falling, actually.
No.
So I guess it wasn't needed. But yeah, now I do think there's also the aspect of you just keep doing what you're doing with the new people, which it sounds like is what you did. Like they ask you a question, like, oh yeah, I'll say this. Yeah. Because you don't want to be resentful of the new people. Yeah. You might not have to bend to their will.
Yes.
But you don't have to hate them.
Exactly. And
like,
that's the approach I tried to go for.
Like the quilt shop downtown here, they get angry if you try to buy something. They're like
your NPCs.
You come into my shop in the middle of the working hour and want to buy something. How dare you?
They're like your NPCs.
Yeah. Although you had a different... Didn't they treat you quite well?
That was in Lethbridge.
Oh, that wasn't here.
And it was a horde of old ladies, half them customers, half weren't.
Well, that's how it is here, too.
Yeah.
The quilt shops are just retirement homes.
They were quite pleased to have a young man in their sewing shop.
But, like, nice retirement homes.
Yeah.
It's where all old ladies get together and just hang out.
Yeah, no, they're quite pleased to have me there. Like, they wanted to be very helpful, and they were chatting with me like, oh, are you going to be doing this? And I mean, none of them offered me cookies, but I feel like there's, like, if I come back there a second time, there's a high possibility I won't be showered with baked goods.
Speaking of Total Biscuit, actually, I watched one of his videos recently, and it was really interesting because I've talked to you about how Splattercat, he has like this 10-minute ramble at the start. You have to skip the first 10 minutes, and a lot of these first impression people, they're adjusting sound settings on the fly. It's not great. Like they mass produce videos, but it's all kind of low quality. So I was watching Total Biscuit, and it's kind of fascinating, his WTF, because WTF wasn't it was first impressions, where he'd do sometimes like 40 hours of research beforehand. Yeah. And it's amazing, his quality. He does like an essay and a tutorial at a highlight all at the same time while playing the game. He doesn't like play the tutorial and read out loud, okay, so that's how that works. No, he already knows how to play the game. Yeah. He does all the tutorials, he plays it for a couple hours, he gets it figured out. And then he's playing. And he doesn't stop to explain things. Like Splattercat will play the game ahead of time before he plays. But then he'll stop, like, okay, your HP's over here, this is what you do. Yeah. Total Biscuit will keep playing the game, but he'll say, and you have to watch your HP while you're doing this, but he's doing something else the entire time, because he's amazing at multitasking. He was a StarCraft announcer, so he had to be. But he's absolutely amazing at it. And then he knows everything about the company. He knows that he's like, they used to make this game, they made this game, this setting will be good for this. It doesn't have anti-aliasing, but it does have this. It doesn't have VSync. he goes through all of it, and it's really interesting that you have people like Mandalore who have these heavily edited videos where you don't actually see the gameplay. You see an expression of the gameplay. Yeah. And like Seth doesn't even get Seth in Zero Punctuation. You don't even see the game. You just see their feeling playing the game.
Yeah.
Mandalore shows you the game, but he doesn't show you a cohesive narrative. He just shows you bits and pieces that are fun.
Yeah.
At Total Biscuit, it's kind of amazing how he would give you the depth of Mandalore while playing the game in the manner of like a first impression channel like Splattercat or something. Yeah. And it's, jeez, the guy was a legend.
Yeah.
It's just really amazing. I actually, while we're talking about YouTube, unless you had more to add to that, I saw this thing that was really, I was watching EFAP. I don't know if you've ever watched them.
No.
Every Frame of Pause is Mahler's streaming channel.
Oh, I see sometimes some of his stuff.
They they had this really interesting segment where they talked about how they got into video creation.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it with your YouTube channel, and all of them, Short Fat Otaku was there as well.
Yeah.
And all 6 of the guys on there or something had been doing YouTube for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And like a long time. And they said they'd just been doing all sorts of different things. Like Short Fat Otaku used to be an anime review channel.
Yeah.
And then he did video games. And then he started talking a little bit about Gamergate and then politics. And then now he does philosophy. And Mahler was...
That one video actually Short Fat Otaku did on that feeling of it's like nostalgia but isn't nostalgia. It's like... So... If you see like a playground that you want to play at.
Oh, liminal spaces.
Yeah, liminal space. That is fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And the feeling, like luminosity, is that what's called, luminosity?
Liminal spaces.
Yeah, but the feeling you get from it.
I don't know, liminality maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like, I experienced that with certain things. Like, and it's weird experience, like the fall. So I was playing Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And I just got the game. Our friend told us about it. And so I had it set up so know that where the old desk used to be, like computer desk.
Yeah.
So I had my laptop there, and it was the fall time, and the door was open, and I was just feeling like really healthy at the time. And I was just sitting there playing the game, and like the breeze was coming in, and so I was like, it was just a very pleasant experience. And then when it's the fall, and I started to look outside, it's like, man, that feeling.
There's nothing better than fresh air, sunshine, playing a game. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's
and like I could have the door open because it's fall, so there's no bugs.
Well, you remember I used to, I think I was playing Baldur's Gate or Mountain Blade or something, and you'd play Ocarina of Time, and we'd just sit with the door open and just, it was great.
Yeah, you'd play on the computer and I'd play on the television.
Yeah, it was great. It's very, very peaceful. That's kind of the perfect conflux of inside and outside.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting how they spent 10 years doing this stuff. Like Dev's like mid-30s, I think. And Mahler, he's probably late 20s, but Regs and all those, like they've been doing it for ages, just seeing what's stuck. And it's interesting because they were doing it for fun because YouTube wasn't a career back when they started. Like 2007, it was almost still a dating site.
Yeah.
And so they're just doing this. But now you have these people all the time. They're like 21 years old. Yeah. They get started on YouTube. In 2 years, they suddenly have thousands or millions of subscribers.
Yeah.
And a lot of them talk about stuff that 21-year-olds have no right talking about. A guy, Xander Hall, stood out to me. He's talks about politics.
Yeah.
He has just no idea what he's talking about. And it's not even like he's an idiot. It's just like, man, you need to live a little bit before. And it feels bad because I hated when people said to me when I was younger, oh, you're too young, you don't understand, something like that. But you actually do need to live a little in order to talk about politics, especially.
Well, it's even
like if you're playing Minecraft, sure, go ahead if you're 21. But when you're talking politics and you're 21, it's like...
Well, even like on the fact of living, I think there are some people who are 21 who have lived a life that allows them to talk about politics.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem as well, is these people, sure, they're self-made YouTubers, but how did you get enough time and resources?
We've talked about this with MXR Plays. Like, it's sometimes annoying how little the world...
Well, Jeannie especially seems like she was a rich kid from the beginning.
Yeah, but like Henry does have his things, but it's just like when they went camping to that extent.
Yeah,
and I was just, what? How can you not, like, this is the easiest camping I've ever seen. How are you having so much trouble?
When I was watching Panga, he was talking about snow. and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I like snow. Snow's pretty." What? Your opinion on snow is it's pretty? No, but to be fair, he's American, and I find it so hard to remember. It doesn't snow in America
unless it's Texas, which is weird.
But like they get snow.
Yeah.
But it's not a guaranteed thing.
Yeah.
Except in Alaska and maybe Chicago and
the Panhandle.
New York and well, I don't think it's guaranteed.
No, it is.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Texas gets snow, and it's weird.
But snow isn't a guaranteed thing in the States, and I find that just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so that's nothing that's their fault, right? And survival in the wilderness. You grew up in the concrete jungle. Is like I can't order fast food, right? So
I can't drive in a city.
Yeah. So they've got skills we don't. But there is an aspect to living life. Like, you have to have done some things. Like, I talk about Splattercat's great, because he was a geologist, and he climbed mountains and whatnot. And he did a video recently on diving, where he was like, "Oh yeah, I love diving. I used to be a bit of a diver." And then in the game, you also own a restaurant. He's like, "I used to be a server in a restaurant, super stressful. I'm getting flashbacks from it." It's like, this guy has lived. He's had like 6 different jobs.
Like, I made the video of, I did a sword rant about holding swords. Then I did that video, which is probably the stupidest thing, one of the stupider things I've done, where I made a chemical pipe bomb with toxic chemicals. And someone said, "So this Minecraft YouTuber I watched, like, I wonder if he's okay, because first he makes a rant about swords, and then he's doing dangerous chemistry in his backyard. It's like, is he alright?" And my response to that, this was never a Minecraft channel in the first place.
And he's also been growing this deranged facial hair. Oh, I shouldn't make... No, I feel bad. I'm sorry. I take it back. You do you. I don't want to make you feel self-conscious about your facial hair. You can go for the beautiful forked beard, yes. No, I really think... Well...
I maintain it slightly.
Yeah.
But
I think what matters most is maintenance. It doesn't matter how it looks so much as the fact that it shows you put the effort in.
Yeah.
I think that's the... I obviously don't because I'm injured. I'll take that as my excuse. But... And you're busy. You can say you're busy.
Well, no. It's... more of a proof that I can grow beards and Romney can't. However, we still haven't done a video chat, and so I can't get rid of the thing until we actually see each other face to face. Because I was growing a beard out a bit, because I was just like sort of lazy at the time. And it's like, "You look like a used tire salesman." What's a used tire salesman?
I think you can keep the beard, but you just gotta keep it even, right?
Yeah.
You just gotta trim it up. You don't even have to shave. You just take some scissors and like.
Yeah. No, and it's been a while since I've done that.
Yeah. Because you just gotta look groomed. You don't have to be
also
clean shaven.
Remember what I was saying about my hands? It's scary to have scissors near my own face with my own hands.
Yeah. I don't know where you get them. I have like grooming scissors. I'm not gonna give them. I'm not gonna.
No, I don't want to use your grooming scissors.
But they bend away from you.
Yeah.
They're like curved. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
And then you look in a mirror and you're confused and you stab yourself in the eye and you cut your earlobe off. But it's easier slightly. Yeah, so there's these 21-year-olds like Xander Hall who just rise up. And you get people like Vosh who... Now, I think he's a bit more old school. Like he did earn his place to a degree. But the people that watch him and like get risen up by him... Like Vosh is talking about some very... borderline political stuff, and I think he knows what he's doing, but the people he influences, the fact that they can be influenced by him, I think is proof that they have no idea what they're doing. And then if they come up and start their own channel and be like, "I'm like Vosh," they're a loss.
It actually, so statistically, I'm in the 98th percentile of YouTube.
Oh, for like number of subscribers
and views.
Yeah.
And so that's all. So like, actually, if it's to say like you're a big YouTuber, yes, I actually am. I'm just not the 99.5%.
Yeah.
And so someone's saying, "Can I ask you some questions about being a YouTuber?" And it's like, "How can I get big like you?" And it's like, well, one, I'm not relatively big, and I hate to say it, but luck, and find something you're passionate, like
dedication.
Yeah, dedication, and find something you're passionate about, and only release videos that you yourself would watch. Yeah. Even though so here's the thing. Most people don't want to watch their own videos after they made them, and that's just a fact. Like, there's very few videos I've made myself that I actually want to watch back again. Yeah. But it's not that you would watch, but it's of the quality that you feel happy releasing.
Yes. Yes. Because I was like, I don't know if videos are different, but my book, No Limb Can Bear, available on Amazon. Hard copy just came out. And I just lowered the price of the Kindle version for a while, so limited time offer maybe. It's not my kind of book. Yeah. interestingly. And I don't know if that's bad or not. I'm not sure. But it's the book I was able to write.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I'm not saying that I don't like the quality. I think the quality is okay. I think I could do much better now, but that's because I wrote it in the first place and I learned. But it's not... I like urban fantasy.
Yeah.
That's my preferred genre. But I don't know if I can write urban fantasy. That's not what the gods have gifted me in my dreams. They've given me other things.
Yeah, well...
Given me depressing, bleak, hellish German world.
There's very few...
But I repeat myself.
There's very few... video, like I said, of my own that I can watch. Like my 3 greatest works ever. I can watch those and I like them. But yes, one guy is actually talking to me. It's really interesting. He's saying, I want to start doing YouTube. It's like, oh, what on? He's basically asked me for advice and we've talked quite a bit. And he's like doing this weird indoor hydroponics thing that like uses far less water than normal to do farming. And he's just like, this is just something I do. And the guy can't work because he has epilepsy. So he's trying to do what he can. And so this is a farming he can do because his family lives on a farm. It's like, I want to make videos on this. And I was saying, it's like, what sort of cameras do I need? What sort of stuff? And I was like, well, editing software, like try to get the best you can. Because it's just, once you learn it, you get stuck with it. So you want a good one to start with. But then videos, if you have a phone, it's a good enough camera.
Well, so...
If you have like a mic, like you just make it good and people will come if it's quality.
Yeah, if your phone has a microphone, which it does because it's a phone, it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I was watching this video of this woman made a video. She was talking about trans issues, funnily enough. But she was saying, yeah, I really want to... she just filmed it on her iPhone or something. And she's a great speaker, very fun, very bubbly, that sort of... Great to watch.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I really want to start a channel. And she was saying, but I'm not sure how to do it. Like, do I get... I need to get a camera and a microphone first. And I said to her, it's like, you do not need one whatsoever. Like, an iPhone is so amazing. Your video quality is better than most people with cameras. And your sound quality is excellent. But even if it was terrible... That really doesn't matter. People are there for the personality. Look at Sips' old videos. Yeah. Look at Shua and Head's current videos.
Well, the reason I want a better camera than my phone, but you've seen the back of my phone, and it's an old phone with a damaged camera, and I'm content with the phone, but why I want an actual good camera is their battery life, and they have built-in gimbals, and phones can sort of gimbal, but I really want a gimbal inside a camera.
Which is a rotational thing?
Yes. It's so you can film and move, so you can walk and film.
Right. Can't you just use your body?
I can't.
Oh, yeah, with your palsy,
Yeah. So there's like partly the gimbal thing. Like I sometimes do stuff, but also I know how to actually use cameras. That's one of the things. Like most people, if you buy an expensive like $800 camera, you're not going to know how to use it. And so the quality will be the same as your phone, and you already have a phone, so use your phone.
But I think even then...
Well, even then, I might just get a better phone, because I have that adapter for my stand, and I can get a phone gimbal as well.
Yeah, but if you get a camera, like a standalone camera, that's totally fine, and that's cool. But it's almost for you, because like you said, you want to release videos you're happy with the quality of.
Yeah.
The fans, I don't think, will care nearly as much.
Well, actually, the bigger reason is it'll make it easier to edit.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's the thing I would say about advice where you... the editing software, you don't have to even get the best. Like, you don't, just get the one that works. Because something like Windows Movie Maker, you do not want to get stuck in that because it crashes all the time. It's a nightmare to use. I think they actually discontinued it on Windows 10.
Yes, they did.
Because it was so bad. But you can't load a video longer than 15 minutes on it.
Yeah.
And my friends and I, we made a movie. It was an hour and a half long. And it crashed so much. It was a nightmare. We lost so much editing. And I think I could recreate the editing that took us, I calculated, I think 200 hours between me and a friend of mine that did all the editing. I think I could probably do that in like 10 hours.
How much raw footage did you have?
How much raw? We didn't have much raw footage. We were pretty tight on that. We probably had like 3 hours.
Okay, so just a quick calculation that I do like on my more intense things, and I actually do more editing than you guys probably did on that, is... For my like tutorials,
3 to 5 hours.
Yeah, for my tutorials, it's about 30 minutes of editing for every 5 minutes of film.
Yeah.
And raw film, I end up with over 3 hours of raw film on a lot of my tutorials. And editing shouldn't take that many hours.
And I'm trying to think, we might have had more, because we did a lot of reshooting. But we used a Sony camera, which used tiny little discs to record. And these discs don't work in a normal disc player.
Yeah.
And they're pretty unreliable. And so a lot of the stuff we did was lost in conversion on purpose. Because it's like, okay, we have to spend... It took like 24 hours just to convert all the files to a format we could use. It's like, are we going to convert this like 10th retake? No, we're going to convert the stuff that we actually use.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say how much film we actually had. Because it's like, let's just film over this bit. Because we're not going to use the first 10 takes. We're going to use the 11th or 12th take.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say how much we really had in the end. But yeah, I think we probably edited down 5-ish, between 5 and 15 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the program crashed all the time. To make the movie, I had to make 15-minute segments and then stick them all together and then hope it didn't crash while I rendered the movie.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a nightmare. And then the horrible thing is the sound isn't locked to its space. So if you delete the wrong side of a sound clip, it collapses all the sound to be next to each other for the entire movie. So your entire sound file becomes a single line. So all the music, like the music you put in the middle, is not at the start. And then you have to redo everything, and it's a nightmare. And then the laptop we were using to edit was decent, but it wasn't super powerful. So every time we had to do we were using ancient technology.
I mean, I didn't know video editing at that point, but...
And bad technology. Well, so what I did was when I bought, what's it called? Cyber Studio or whatever? The editing software I have.
Yeah.
I recreated the most difficult scene we had in the movie that we messed up. It took me about 15 minutes, and I did it flawlessly. And that took us like an hour to do wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not like I obviously I did learn, but it was just so much easier in good software.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to be a YouTuber, just be interesting. Be understandable. You don't have to have good sound. Just make it so people can hear you.
Yes.
And the video quality, just make it so they can see what's on the screen.
Yeah.
And the software, just make it something that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you said, a camera is something that you can use, makes you feel better about it.
And yeah, just to be interesting. But like one of the things, a moral. There's two moral pieces of advice. Well, so one's a self-care, and the other's a moral, which is expect nothing but hope for everything.
Yeah.
And I say that in very much it is most likely that you'll get maybe 10 views.
Yeah.
Or more. Like this podcast given.
Yeah.
Like,
but we're almost ready to do episode 2, I think. Like, how many views do we have on the first one?
Oh, yeah. But like just given that, and given the two other channels I made, so I have an animation channel, and there's not many videos on it, and I have...
That channel's broken. It recommends me its videos all the time, which is bad because I've seen them like 4 times each, so I don't want to watch them.
Yes.
But I'm recommended them, so they're now getting not clicked on.
Exactly. And it's because I haven't made more videos in it, and that's the problem. Because you're subscribed to it, it'd probably be a good idea to unsubscribe.
I don't even know if I'm subscribed.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'll check. Yeah.
But then I have my sketch channel, which has 1 video on it, and it wasn't a great made video. I'm actually like a little peeved by your channel. A little bit of jealousy, like how many views you've gotten just from here.
I have 10 subscribers.
You've got like 11.
Okay, 10% higher.
But also just the
because I did nothing. Like I just turned the camera on in the middle of the night and was like
talk to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'm charismatic. Well, no, because I was talking about something that mattered.
Yes.
It was very important to me. And
not even just the Dear Zero video. Like a lot of your videos have things on it, like views to extents. Which is
I think you get more views than Shin though. Like on the his videos never crack like 15,000.
Yeah.
And your videos every month or so crack 30,000. So you don't get more overall than him, but you are getting higher highs than him.
Yes.
Because he's all he has is super loyal people right now, I think.
Yes.
He's got 15,000 people that watch every single video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's like channel hopefully that's probably better for you. But I do like having videos that really resonate.
Yeah.
I was actually because I muddy my water so much, like if I eliminated all these let's play things that I do,
you could make a separate channel for that.
I don't want to though, because what I want my channel to be is the things I'm interested in making to extent that are related to gaming.
Now the question is, what do you want from your channel? Because I think if you want to help it might be beneficial to separate it. But the thing, of course, is when you play to the algorithm changes, and then...
Exactly. Whereas if I make something for the people who like what I do in the overall extent...
Yeah, they're there for you.
Yeah.
That's what Northern Lion and Sips found. It doesn't matter what they do.
Yes.
So Northern Lion, he used to be like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And then he discovered he can do anything because they're there for him.
Yeah.
And so now he does, he's been doing a lot of videos called, I forget what he calls them. He's like, I'm the Supreme Judge or something. He'll go to one of those Am I the Asshole videos on Reddit. And he'll give the final verdict on it. He'll read it and he'll say, yep, no, this person's...
But I don't even, like, it's not even entirely I want it to be there for who I am. Because, like, Sips has that personality. It's very... But when I make these bigger videos, like the how-tos or the showcases, like the Whisperwood video.
Yeah.
I wrote bloody song lyrics and sang.
Yeah.
And, like, played my hand at something I hadn't tried before. And, like, sometimes they flop my ideas, sometimes they work out. But I actually want to make something that's worthwhile making.
Yeah, something to look back on and be like, yeah, that was
cool.
And
so I'm having this trouble right now, actually, is there's several scripts, like, you know what animatic sort of is? Like, it's basically a video where you talk and then you have a lot fewer pictures in it and they're sort of animated. So I want to, like, I have several concepts with D&D I want to talk about and write. And I was thinking, like, I could put them onto my animation channel and they might work there. I could make another channel, or I was thinking of changing the name of my channel to something, the animation channel, something else that could be more accompanying. So I was like, or I could put these on my main channel and just have things that cover the topics of D&D because it's an adventure game and it's a game.
Now I will say, Samuel Streamer, he's probably one of my current more favorite YouTubers. He does only Rimroll on his main channel, and his secondary channel he does Crusader Kings.
Yeah.
Until recently, he started putting Terraria on his main channel.
Yeah.
And I've actually found it a little annoying because I don't like Terraria. I really like him. I watch his Crusader Kings occasionally. I always watch his Rimworld. I don't like Terraria.
Yeah.
So...
That's the one thing I worry about with that. But also, I like the concept of like, one of the problems that, like you say, annoys it because it recommends it to you. And I kind of wish that you could have sub-channels within a channel.
Yeah. Well, I think
that would be good for channels on YouTube even.
I think it might be possible now. I'm not sure, because I've seen, like, Sitch and Adam.
Yeah.
Whenever Adam comments on the Sitch and Adam channel from his channel, it highlights that comment. And I don't know why. Because I thought it only highlighted the comment of the creator of that channel.
He might have linked them.
So if you can link them,
yeah,
that's kind of like having a sub-channel. But it'd be nice if you could subscribe. I guess you can subscribe to playlists. Yeah. But it'd be nice if that was more tunable.
Yeah, the YouTube homepage, like, you could customize your own page. It used to be pretty nice. They haven't innovated the homepage, actually, like the channel page.
Well, they've innovated it.
Yeah.
So, the Philosopher and The Fool is an example. I used to be in charge of the playlist. So, I set up an automated playlist builder.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it was broken. And I was like, oh, Connor broke something. Great. He changed the naming scheme of our channel or something. I was like, nope, you didn't change anything. So, I looked, and they've gotten rid of automatic playlist creation.
Yeah.
Which means you have to do it manually now, which is super annoying. And I don't know, YouTube keeps removing useful... Yeah. They got rid of community translation. They got rid of annotation.
Yeah.
It's not like it cost them anything to leave it in. It's just, well, only 5% of people use it. Yeah, but those 5% really need it.
Yeah.
It's like community translation especially is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea why they'd remove that.
Yeah, I was just... I'm uncertain what to do with that. And there's a few other things I want to make. Like, I want to do some live action stuff. And there's thought, like, I could put onto my Connor channel, which I have. I could put live action stuff onto there.
You could just have a second channel or something.
Yeah, well, I have 3 channels besides even this.
Yeah.
And so I could put it there. But also, is stuff I know that a lot of people actually do enjoy and watch those things. Like the video of me making the explosives or ranting about the sword. Or that video about my birthday where the greatest adventure. People liked that. Yeah. Well,
it's tricky. And I think you got to experiment, basically. Mm-hmm. Like, you did experiment with the animation channel and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why he started putting Terraria on it was an experiment. Yeah. He was like, I wonder if I can put the second channel on the first channel.
Yeah.
And then it turned out he didn't lose any viewers from Rimworld whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he said, oh, this is great. Because I can have everything in one place now.
Yeah.
But he said it's unfortunate because now my second channel is going to die because I have no reason to upload there.
Yeah.
But I tend to subscribe to... This is me, personally.
Yeah.
I subscribe to channels where I want to watch every single video they make.
Yes.
So I don't subscribe to Killian because occasionally he does like weird tangential videos.
Yeah.
But I like most of his videos.
I watch everything Soviet Womble though puts out.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not subscribed to Soviet Womble because he makes Divinity Original Sin videos.
I just ignore those.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I want to subscribe to a channel where I just watch everything. Now, maybe I'm the weird case here. And yeah, that's up to you to experiment with. Because I think your channel, like you said, you don't want it to be a Minecraft channel.
Yeah.
So you can make it the You channel.
Yeah.
You can also have a mirror channel, which is like a review channel or something, where you just mirror the videos to it.
I don't know.
And then that might do better than your main channel even.
Yeah, I don't know how the mirror would do. And one of the things with the guides...
Or it might split it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things. But also those guides, like some of them have 100,000 views on them.
Yeah.
And so like building that again into them.
Yeah. And also then neither channel might grow as fast because you're splitting views between them.
But also the thing is, I know that a large proportion of my audience are people who come, like, watch my reviews and guides. But one of the things is, so there's a guy who's actually quite active in my community right now, Reverend Aaron Bonehart. He became a reverend, and so he added that to the front of his name. But I started doing, like, the Minecraft servers because someone else from the channels just started helping me, like, explain them. And so this guy started playing and interacting with me a lot more. And he started watching my videos. It's like, yeah, I usually didn't watch them until my favorite character was added, which is Reverend Aaron Bonehart. And I really enjoy him in your videos. And he's like, I used to just watch you purely for your guides. And I had a friend I know who watched everything you did.
Yeah.
And then you did this thing with the community videos.
That's pretty good, Connor. You got people who have friends. Like, if everyone's not connected, then yeah, whatever. But when people's friends are, that's pretty cool.
Well, also, some people have actually sort of made and connected slight friendships through the community servers because they're the people who actively talk.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, like, Direwolf makes the second best Minecraft guides out there. I'm not saying that to puff up your ego or anything. I think yours are actually better. You get to the point quicker than he does. I think yours are actually more useful. I think Direwolf understands mods better than you.
Oh, he definitely does.
But I think you actually don't waste people's time. I was talking to her...
I delete that. So in the latest guide, I'm going to have to go through more, but I'm doing Astral Sorcery. And I realized I was accidentally throwing review into my how-to.
How-to, yeah.
And I was like, I just have to delete that bit. Because even though I'm saying my opinion and it could be interesting to some people, they don't want to waste it. And actually, it really became apparent. I was having trouble with a Skyrim mod. And so I clicked on a guy's tutorial. And I kid you not, the video was 20 seconds of a stupid boompa 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 spinning logo.
That's how it goes. So actually, I was talking to our stepdad about this, where he says he hates video tutorials for like when he has to fix his tractor or something. Yeah. He'd just much rather read something. But then our mom pointed out that you can get like recipes where you go online and they have like a 12-page story about the recipe before you get the recipe. So even writing doesn't help. And I said, actually, Connor does a good job because you get right to it. And that...
What I do... One of the things I think that helps is I'm not... Like with Bewitchment, that was one of the... I was an expert at that mod. I was one of the few people online, like even the creators.
Yeah. I
could do the mod better than them. And... So that was one of the few cases where I was expert. But a lot of mods, it's like, I know this mod slime out, I like it. I'm going to learn it. And I'm going to go through the whole process of learning it and all the pain of learning it. And then I'm going to let everyone know, basically, this is how you do it, from learning it from get-go. And not being like someone who's super competent understanding it.
I have these two little mods I'm having troubles with. Can I request like a 2-in-1 review? Just Psycraft and Aurora Cascade, just back to back?
I am not going to do Aurora Cascade. I'm not going to do PSI.
But, just a short, like, 10-minute video.
Cameron?
Just do both of them.
I did. Not Minecraft.
Immersive Engineering?
No. That one's actually easy.
Create.
I can't do that. I'm not good enough. There's too many things. The thing where you have to collect the asteroids.
I saw a guy build a working organ in Create.
Yeah. You know that mod where you have to collect the asteroids and, like, to create the storages?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I managed to do that in less than 30 minutes, a full guide of how to do everything, basically.
Whatever. Yeah.
After I did that video, I broke something in my brain. I can't...
I don't like that mod. Like, it's so
tedious and finicky.
Tedious and finicky, yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
I really like its autocrafters.
Yeah, there's several things in Astral Sorcery that are a bit finicky like that. And so I explain Astral Sorcery at one point in the video.
I really like Astral Sorcery.
It looks gorgeous now as well. Like 1.16, it's so gorgeous.
I think it's the best vanilla magic mod. Like, I think it fits the best in the game.
So I was saying, in Astral Sorcery, you can tweak every single thing to try to get the most bang for your buck, like how to get the very best, like the most optimal thing. But you don't need to know that to complete the mod to get all the stuff. So I'm not touching that. You can watch Direwolf for that.
It's got the prettiest teleporter of like any mod as well.
No, it is so gorgeous looking, like so much love.
And the milk water, whatever that is.
Starlight, liquid starlight.
Yeah, remember I made a base in the sky with it?
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. And I made the teleporter and I love it. It's such a pretty mod.
Yeah.
And it feels so cool because you have to like find the highest spots on the earth and find the place where the stars align, and then you build your shrines, and it's so neat. But
I also realized I made an assumption about one part of the mod, and I was wrong, and my guide was based on the assumption, and the problem is basically I wasn't getting any benefit, but I thought I was, and I forgot some things. So it's like, I'll just look this up just to make sure I'm not making a mistake. I have to re-record 20 minutes here to fix. Well, it's going to be about 5 to 10 minutes, but I'm just like,
yeah.
But what really annoyed me is, so I built each individual altar because now you can upgrade and build around them.
Yeah.
I wanted each one individually, and so the thing that I was wrong with, I thought was conditions of where you had to build them. So it's where the beams of starlight rise out of the ground, and we're near clouds of sparkling light. You only need to have your altars near clouds of sparkling light. But I was looking for specific, alright, beams of starlight rising from the ground, clouds of sparkling light. Okay, I can build this tutorial altar here. Alright, there's that there. Okay, that's the perfect. There's that there. There's that. And I was like, I didn't need to do that.
If I recall correctly, it's useful just to have everything in one place.
Yes, it is.
But it's not necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just useful.
Yeah, no, so.
But yeah, with your channel, like I said, these guys were doing it for 10 years or more. And they just kind of kept doing it and they got to where they are now. So I think you probably don't have to worry about it too much in some sense. It depends what you want from it. If you want it to be your career, then you might have to play to the audience more. Now, like if you wanted to start doubling down now and make it like big. Yeah. But if you just want to keep doing it and see what happens and end up like Dev or Mahler or something, then yeah, you'd keep going and just do you.
Yeah.
Another thing.
My current goal is to escape Minecraft. And I actually did that a bit with like just in the Let's Play section of like the views, because I had the Stray videos and those.
Do you remember?
Did so.
Remember Total Bisc? Do you ever remember he refused to play Minecraft? It was one of his favorite games, but he refused to ever record himself playing it.
Yeah.
Because he said, the moment I make a single Minecraft video, my channel becomes a Minecraft channel.
Yeah. Well, what Alex the Rambler is like trapped in Crusader Kings like games, and then what RT Gaming escaped from like the thing he was super known for.
Samuel Streamer was Crusader Kings.
Yeah.
And now he's trapped in Rimworld instead.
Yeah, well, but the other one was Spiffing Brit. Who actually used to be trapped in Paradox Games. And he actually got out of Paradox Games.
But I mean, if you like Minecraft.
No, I do. And it fits it because there's so many mods and I enjoy Minecraft. So I'm saying I want to be able to diversify. And I was playing Potioncraft and people like that enough. And I played like a different game a bit. There's all bolts and biters.
No, Alpharad stopped doing Smash Bros. And he's doing very well now, actually. But I stopped watching him because I really liked watching Smash Bros. Yeah. So there is that aspect to it as well. I was watching it because he's really fun to watch play Smash Bros. Yeah. But whenever he did Mario, I really like that too. So I think as long as you keep the overlap right, like if you do like,
it's not that I want to stop Minecraft. It's like I want all these Roblox Minecraft playing people to see that there's other games out there besides that.
I don't think that's fair. I think Minecraft's great.
No, it is.
And they're just having fun with Minecraft to watch. Minecraft's very fun because
but I want them to stop playing Roblox.
Roblox is like Minecraft with better mods in a lot of ways. It's kind of amazing. So it's very ugly. I would never play Roblox, but they've made full-blown like Pokemon type games in there that are super detailed and amazing.
The best Pokemon game out there is Pixelmon.
Some of the ones in Roblox are amazing.
The best Pokemon game out there is Pixelmon.
Yeah. But, well, I've been liking some of these fan games, like Pokemon Fusion's very fun. Yeah. Infinite Fusion.
I have such a cool looking Pokemon in Fusion. So I knew it was going to look good, which is, you know the prehistoric fossil Pokemon with the blades for arms?
Yeah.
So I had a Kuboto, I combined it with a Cypher, and then the Cypher evolved into the Pinscher, and the Kuboto evolved into a Kubotox, and they did custom art for it because they have like 2,000...
20,000.
Yeah, it looks so good, the custom art for it that I combined into. Also, another one of my custom arts I love is I have an Alakazam and a Gengar. One of the combos looks really stupid, but when you invert it, it looks amazing. And I think it's one of my best Pokemons unless the Dark type move's used on it, and that's really bad.
All right, I'll cut it off here. You can show me after, but let's have some focus.
It just has such high power.
Yeah, you can show me. Let's have some focus. I don't think this is a thing for others exactly.
Yes. It's about me.
Just in terms of we're not showing the people things on the screen, and they're not.
Yes.
Yeah, I do think. Maybe that's why we don't have any subscribers. We get focus. No, it's okay. You can show me after. I am interested.
I wanted to propose. Like you have this list here.
Yeah.
But I want to propose as trying to script the episode.
I don't think we should script them, but I just think if I'm talking about YouTube, we don't talk. We go on the tangent for Pokemon, and I do that sort of thing too. But I think that's. I don't think scripting makes sense. Like you can't script a conversation.
No. Well, can you?
But what do you mean by scripting it then?
Oh no, there's those podcasts like, oh, I went to here, I researched this, I did this, and yada yada yada, and then like a short conversation expert, and then I did this.
Right. Well, I try to do that. Occasionally, I talk about things I've learned about. Anyways, so yeah, for example, YouTube. So one thing I've noticed is a lot of these channels that grow very large very fast, they tend to like falter and die.
Really?
Like, well, not die necessarily, but like Vosh or Xander Hall, they get a bunch of subscribers and then they sort of just kind of slowly dwindle over time. One thing I've really noticed is if you get like not ugly women, they'll have channels that just zoom. Like there's a person I watched her, she had 45 subscribers when I started watching her, and then she zoomed up to like 2,000. She was like in like a couple months, and now she's at 2,000 like a year later. They just there's a Rimworld YouTuber who's a female, and she gained like 12,000 subscribers instantly, and then just none.
Yeah.
And
you have to be a degenerate female to get.
No, I don't think the women are the problem. I think they didn't continue with what they had.
Yeah. So
you got a bunch of early success because you were female, basically. But that doesn't. But they're also good. Like their channels are good. But you have to keep at it because eventually people are going to care more about you being good than you being female. Yeah. And then that's like Jana Marbles was what, like the second or third biggest YouTuber for ages. Yeah. She's female. Female. She got it. So, but the point is not it's about their looks or anything. It's well, to a degree it is, but to begin with. But it's easy come, easy go. Yeah. People like you and Noravo, like
we're hideous.
No. I don't think you're hideous at all. No. I haven't seen Noravo.
Noravo's so cool. I wish I could.
What? I mean, okay.
He plays Heroes by Magic. And people watch him for playing Heroes by Magic. And he does well off it, and he's like just kept doing it, and he's grown over time, and people just like the channel. It's inspired what Norvo's done.
Yeah, it's impressive, and I think his viewership and yours, like especially your Battle Brothers viewers, very similar.
I feel bad for my Battle Brothers viewers.
Why?
Because I'm just done with it.
Well, if you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
They don't want to watch you having a bad time.
Yeah. Like I've played the game enough now, and maybe I'll come back. I even said this in the last video, like maybe I'll come back to it, but for now I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, if you're done, you're done. They don't want to watch you just struggling through it. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's like they probably miss watching Battle Brothers, but it's probably better than watching it decline horribly.
And there is a lot of Battle Brothers to watch. Although Battle Brothers watchers are weird.
Well, they're loyal. They'll watch it at their own pace.
Yeah,
they'll watch every video at their own pace.
Yes,
just very slowly. Dum dum dum.
Well, actually, so for a short while, my Battle Brothers was more popular than the Minecraft. Besides, like some other things. And so when I was looking at my analytics of the age range and where people are from, the majority of my audience, besides the United States,
old Germans or something.
It was like 40 to 50-year-old Germans, not 40 to 60-year-old German men watching my channel.
There's something about like janky war games that Germans just love. Like, it's just like they just love their.
But it wasn't any Germans. It was 40 to 60-year-old Germans.
It's like the old German guys. It's Shut Up and Sit Down did a review of a war game recently, and the guy's like, I don't really like this. Like the strategy doesn't feel very strategic. Like it's very cool the stuff you can do, but it doesn't feel very strategic. And then I realized you're just role playing, aren't you, war gamers? You're not actually doing a strategy game. You're just role playing.
Have you ever played Warhammer?
All these old guys that get around and do their World War II games, they're just saying, hey, what would happen if the Germans got us a bit more lucky here and did a bit more, and wouldn't it be cool if the elves were fighting the orcs for the king? You're just role players. Yeah. So I came to this revelation. You don't care how good the tactics are. It was quite funny how this guy that doesn't play war games suddenly understood wargaming.
There's this Vaudeline clip of Tom and Ben.
Yeah.
And Ben's like, I finally painted up my Dark Angels, and they're all so pretty. And I went to this wargaming shop to play against someone, and the guy just destroyed me, and his army wasn't even painted. He must have been some master Chad of Warhammer, like Henry Cavill. And then Tom's like, yep, I am pretty good looking. Tom just had like a bunch of unpainted models. But then Ben's like, of course, you get the plus 10 points for having the purely all painted models. Yep, I still won.
The funny thing is, when Ben plays an actually skilled game, like, what's it called, Battlefleet or whatever?
Yeah, he wins.
He's the best in the world. Well, he's the best in Europe. He's like the third best in the world or something.
Well, actually, so how he won in Europe is illegal now.
Oh.
Because he did it, the idea is meant to have really big ships.
Yeah.
And then there's like a few small fighters. However, he'd have a bunch of big ships with tons of small fighters. And he did this basically like action economy abuse, which annihilate people because he has such good understanding of games.
His turns probably took forever.
Well, what's funny though is he had an interview, and so it's like, what is this game? So, well, there's really big ships in it, and you have the big ships and they go around. And Tom was joking, was like, I like the big gray triangles. And then them started reading his own writing, that sort of like nerd voice.
I've seen this here, do a meta-analysis of me with this diversion to see if it's out of your scripted idea, okay? So I'm curious. So I've seen this YouTube channel. It's a Magic the Gathering channel.
Yeah.
And there's something wrong about the guys on the channel. Like, it's a 40,000 subscriber channel, decently popular. The topics are quite interesting. They do stuff like they get an AI to generate cards, and they play games with them. It's really cool. But they're the one guy might be an albino, which might be throwing me off, but they're like really nerdy. And I don't know what it is. Like Ben, Lewis, Simon, they don't give this off. They have this charisma about them. But these guys, they speak or act weird. Maybe they have like hunched shoulders or their heads are forward or something, but there's something off about them. They seem like the kind of person I wouldn't want to associate with. Like there's this one guy that was on their channel. He dresses very flamboyantly. He's got this chain. He's got this magnificent beard. He's got his fingernails painted. He looks like an eccentric artist, cool dude type guy.
Yeah.
But even he has this sort of feeling of nerdiness, of unhealth that I want to avoid. It's hard to
It's like going to Titans.
Maybe.
Well, some of the people
depends on the people.
Yeah, well, some of the people in Titans you like want to talk to, and
I mean, like one of the people that works at Titans is like this. I mean, she's like this buff rock climber. So yeah, I mean, it really depends on the person.
And there's one guy who used to work there who he acted like he hated you while he was serving you, and it really threw me off.
But so, do you know what I'm talking about with these sort of people where they're being very exuberant, they're having fun playing a game, but they're okay when they laugh, right? It's like they're afraid to be. This is this nerd vision, right? They laugh like they don't laugh like that, but that's the sort of nerd laugh in my mind where you're afraid to you're afraid to actually have you laugh like. And when you scream, you go, "Let's go!" You don't actually say, "Let's go!" Well, I can't do it with my voice, but you don't actually shout. You just do you're trying to scream in a video game, but you're afraid your parents are sleeping.
Lion, I have a video plan for that sucker.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to the history of Let's Go, and I'm slowly researching and writing a script.
Like the Pokemon game?
No, the streaming statement, the YouTube thing. Let's go!
Ah.
Because it popped up. It didn't used to exist. And it did exist in sports. So like, all right, let's go in, boys. Or like, let's go.
Right.
Let's go. But the let's go that streamers do, they are all imitating Northern Lion. And then they're imitating each other.
Because Northern Lion, he has all the catchphrases, right? Yeah. Like that everyone uses eventually.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if he's just more on the thumb of it and he's copying someone else.
That's what this research is looking into.
Because he watches a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of it.
I think Northern Lion also probably actually watches football.
But he's got this massively dominant personality. Which is weird because his channel's not huge. But everyone watches him. Yeah. Like I've watched random like Australian YouTubers. They're like, oh, I was watching Northern Lion.
I think YouTubers watch him.
Yeah. I think he's a YouTuber's YouTuber.
Yeah, no. I actually think that's
he's like Dr. Randomer Cam.
Yeah. So that, but yeah, I actually want to research the let's go because so many people do, and then it bleeds out of streamers into you're just talking with people or like I'm playing Dota with friends, and then they're like let's go, and that's more acceptable in some ways because Dota is an e-sport, and so it's like sort of sports connection. But I'm playing D&D, and like I roll a critical hit, and then one of the guys like let's go, and he's all excited about it. It's like eye starts to twitch, and it's like okay, fine, that's just your statement of exuberance. But
you're gonna be like Brian Regan, where he had the big rant about, that's what I'm talking about. So he shoots. Yeah, he got the goal. That's what I'm talking about. Really? Really? You said he's going to pass to him, then he's going to pass to him, then he's going to throw it over to him in half play. He's going to fall over, and then he's going to get the touchdown. Is that what you said? That's what you were talking about? No, you weren't.
Well, I have I'm moments of existential crises, I think, with YouTube. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, we're going to go over here. Wait, no, we're not going over here. I'm going over here. You're just watching. Like, just sort of that, like, moment of, like, you talking and you're very including people. No, it's me!
It's tricky, isn't it? What's his name? The man that formed America and had slaves. Thomas Jefferson. Yeah. He said, in manners of ethic, you should stand alone and hold firmly to your beliefs. In manners of fashion, you should go with the crowd. Yeah. So, is that fashion or ethic? I think it might be fashion. Yeah. But I'm not sure. And there was a thing that
I don't like streamer speak.
Yeet, pog, champ, those things. Yes. Yeah.
Like the term yeet can be fun because it's the sound of the action of like yeet.
But remember way back on one of our early episodes, we complained about references.
Yes.
I complained more because you kept making references and I complained about it. I think I had the wrong complaint. I don't think references are actually bad.
Jara, when the walls fell.
Yeah, whatever that was. That's the problem. The problem is completely interrupting the flow with something that nobody will get, not even me. I don't know what.
So in Star Trek, there's a race that's spoken references, and so they can't actually translate.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Yes.
Is that what they said at one point?
That's basically one of the things they said.
Right. But that's what language is. Yeah. So I completely disavow past self. Because that's what language is. Language is reference to other things. Yeah. When you say panic, you're saying the spirit of the god of fear took over. Yeah. You're saying this giant goat started playing his pipes and
chasing you through the woods.
Yeah, that's what you're saying when you panicked. Ugh. So it's all references. Mm-hmm. So I don't actually mind references. What I think I mind is when shout-outs, where people just say something because, hey, this guy will get that. Like if your reference is relevant, then yeah, great. But if you're going, hey, here's a thing someone gets, that's what gets to me. But I could be wrong there too, because so with yeet and these things that they appear over time. Yeah, but the yeet I think has escaped the internet well, not really. It's kind of, you talk to normal people and you realize how messed up you are, and you're looking down on these streamers, and then you realize you're almost as far gone as they are, and you say, should I really be judging? You know, there's a line in the Bible, judge not lest ye yourself be judged. And another one, leave judgment to God. And I think there's a good lesson in there, because sometimes
it's like that book is just full of lessons.
Yeah, it's got, and see, that was a reference, the Bible, yeah. but it wasn't. I wasn't just saying, "Hey, yo, I'm on a cross, man," or whatever Jesus said.
I think he said, "Ow."
Like, I get that reference. Wow. See, because that your ow sounded like the comedy guy. See, that was a bad one. Yeah. That was my example of a bad one. Therefore, tying it. Yeah. So, these women especially seem to rise in popularity and fall off. Yeah. So, how was my tangent? Was it all right?
That's fine.
Okay. I can do a scripted video where I talk about the pyramids just for the entire episode if you want, because I'm ready now, I think. I have got some stuff to say.
The script would require it to actually be written so the I can know some stuff about it too.
Then I'm not telling you about it.
Yes, I don't think it'd work.
So what you want?
I don't want it. I was wondering if it was something we could attempt to do, but I don't think it'd work for how we do things because it's a conversation.
Like you want to do like an educational video?
No, I don't want to do it. I was wondering if there's a thing we could do.
Right. Well,
but I don't think
we could try. We could make an educational video. I'm just not sure why.
I don't even want an educational video. I was just thinking of a script.
I'm willing to try shaking things up. I'm just curious what your plan is for it. So
I have no plan. I don't think it'd work. So let's leave it.
So I write a list of things about the pyramid. I give it to you, and then I talk about it, and you say, yes.
Yeah, well, you write a list, but it's not super in depth, so then you can give me the juicier nuggets further in. And
right. And what does that list do for you?
I can do my own research, and I can confer things. Or if I found something you didn't find, then I can talk about it. So we can have like equal sort of footing in our own two researches.
So like what we do with philosophy already, sort of, but more structured.
Yeah.
We could try that sometime.
Yeah. Or we could just go for the Yog Pod, Triforce podcast.
I kind of like just talking about
my butthole.
My stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
No, that works. That's it. It was a thought experiment.
Yeah. Well, we could try it sometime. But, yeah. I want to talk about the pyramids for a whole episode, though. All right. Going back. I'm sorry. Anyone listening to this. I hope this gets edited out, but you don't do much editing anymore. Right. Anyways.
I don't have the will left. It's all dribbled out of me.
Dear. Get diapers or something for adults there. Right. So, ugly women and streamers. Their channels decline.
Ugly women?
Let me start again.
I thought it was good-looking women. Ugly women keep their channels because they got them first place by being ugly.
Good women. No. Not ugly women.
Yes.
And men who just find fame suddenly for some reason.
Yeah.
Whether luck, wealth, really good first video, whatever it might be. They seem to decline. Whereas people like Norvo and your Battle Brothers guys, they just truck along.
Yeah.
And I have seen channels that do get big very fast. Mr. Samuel Streamer is one. It took him about 2 to 4 years. However, he might be the hardest working channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
To the point where I think it's actually killing him.
Yes.
He creates something like 3 videos a day. It takes some...
Oh, good. I was watching one of them. I actually want to keep watching his Egypt. I want to start at the beginning of the Egypt one and then go through
I think you should start at the first generations one, and then watch the Reem one, and then watch the Egypt one.
It sounds like someone recommending an anime series.
Yes. Every single character in his things...
Yeah.
They're part of his overarching lore that he's built through
you're
several thousand hours.
You're sounding like a weeb talking about, you need to watch this for the lore.
He actually wants to build a website that keeps track of his lore because it's so convoluted. No, start anywhere. And then you can always watch back. Yeah, no, there's no right way to do it. But
I just wanted to point out the...
Yeah, no, I caught myself. I saw it. I realized, and what I'm doing as well is I'm making it more intimidating.
Yeah.
I'm saying you got to do all this first, and then it's like, well, that's too much work.
Yeah.
No, you can start anywhere. Yeah. So he is insanely hardworking. He does about 3 videos a day. They're all heavily edited by himself. Well, one of them's heavily edited by himself, and he's working from like 6 in the morning to like 3 in the morning, and every day, basically, does
he live stream?
No.
Okay.
No, he doesn't. Thankfully, or he'd be even worse
Well,
off.
it's just his name's Samuel Streamer.
Yeah. No, that he used to be 1D2 Gaming, and then people started calling him Streamer, Mr. Streamer, for some reason. I don't actually know why, but yeah. So I think you can just put in the effort and become a successful YouTube channel in like 2 years, but the cost is,
unless you're already highly skilled,
the cost is high as well. Yeah. He is a programmer who can mod stuff on his own. He's a skilled video editor. He's got a very good speaking voice. Yeah. He's very funny. He's very charismatic. He's very knowledgeable. He's very knowledgeable about language and history. Yeah. He's got a lot going for him. And the thing is, though, he is a RimWorld and Crusader Kings. He has a very limited audience available. Yes. He's basically, like, there isn't really other RimWorld and Crusader Kings people. There is, but it's very rare. Yeah. And the good ones are even rare. Like, you've got Quill18, he's kind of your go-to guy, but all of his videos are like, he does so many wide-ranging things. It's like, yeah. And then you've got like that Salamander guy, like he only releases a video a month, whatever his name is. You got the Klim Reaper, who does more flashy instant payoff videos like Spiffing Brit.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna break Rimworld this way, I'm gonna break. But if you want solid, just constant, ambiguous amphibian, that's the guy.
Yeah.
But if you just want solid, constant thing, I think Sam Extremer's the only guy.
Well, one of the things I want to come out is Dwarf Fortress for Steam.
Yeah, did you see that they're re-updating Classic Mode as well? That's very cool.
Mm-hmm. But why I want that is Dwarf Fortress for Steam not only will be more playable for me, so I can understand it, it'll also be more watchable without having to explain everything that's going on and draw artwork and actually go
Have
through
you ever
it.
watched Krug Smash?
No, I haven't, but I what he does is amazing because you told me about it, but you won't have to do that level to actually make Dwarf Fortress.
But it's almost a shame because Krug Smash might get out-competed. Because no one has the quality level or maybe now that he doesn't have to waste so much effort in one area, he can make it even better in another.
Yeah.
And then he'll still be the top Dwarf Fortress guy.
Mm-hmm. But I want to get him a lot Dwarf Fortress because I like Dwarf Fortress. I really do. I just can't play it.
I think
it's so hard for me to play.
What you're going to find surprising, I've said this before, and most people are going to find surprising, is how shallow a game it is.
Well, is it more shallow than RimWorld?
Yes. Yeah, there's very little to do compared to RimWorld.
Yeah.
But the systems are amazing. So if you're creative, it can be bigger. Because you can create like a crazy catapult or something.
Yeah.
But just the game itself is very small.
Mm-hmm.
But playing in that sandbox is huge.
Yeah.
It's like if you play Minecraft and beat the Ender Dragon, you're like, what, this is a 3-hour game?
Yeah.
But that's not really what it's about. Mm-hmm. So Dwarf Fortress, you find...
Well, I've enjoyed Dwarf Fortress when I played it. Like, I need to get a water source for everyone. And so I dug a river. I dug a river into my...
Drown everyone, yeah. It's classic.
It should have worked, but I miscalculated. And then one of my dwarves locked himself in a room, and he ate the cheese under his helmet. And he started to go insane, and everyone else was like so he was trapped in the cave, and everyone else was around it. And so they were just living their life. And I finally dug him out, and then he is no longer under my control, and he murdered another dwarf. It's just so sad.
So, the YouTubers can rise very quickly, but it doesn't happen often. And you have to do crazy amount of work. So
or you have to have YouTube the way it was.
Maybe.
Well, I actually wonder if YouTube was still the way it was, but had the amount of people throwing things into it, what would happen to
I don't think YouTube can be the way it was, because it used to be about organic one-off videos, and now people make it a career.
Yeah.
Like, the person that made, like, I don't know, Charlie Bit My Finger, they didn't, well, maybe they have a channel now, but it was all about the one video.
I mean, a little bit after that, like the start of the Yogscast and the
Captain Sparkles.
Captain Sparkles, Smosh, the way Smosh was.
MXR Plays.
Yeah, and
or Reviews, whatever it was called.
It was MXR Weekly.
Yeah.
And the sort of like very own...
Brett's and Beretta.
Yeah, personalized channels as well, like they have their whole thing going for it.
Yeah, back then it was a bit... Yeah, I think there's too many people on it now, though, still. I'm not sure.
Still, I would like to go back to having, like, the unique artwork banners along the sides of your channel. And
just a bit more customization, a bit more personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely done a few things that are very corporate, which isn't great.
Well, one of the things I really... So, if I know you don't use your phone, but now with YouTube on the phone, when you press the like button with your thumb, it, like, lights up in multiple colors, sparkles come off, and it gives, like, this little wiggle animation, and so it's, like, very much a dopamine... synaptic response.
So Twitter
unnecessary
has a little red notification thing that appears when you open it up. There's a delay.
Yeah.
You think it's loading in or something, but no, that's not what's going on. They studied people in casinos for when you get the feedback from the like slot machines.
Yeah.
For did I win or did I lose?
Yeah, the dingle-dingle, dingle-dingle.
And there's an optimal time for when you know if you've won or you've lost.
Yeah.
That makes you the most invested because you're like, because if you're like, come on, and then you're waiting for 6 hours, you're like, I don't care anymore. And if it's like, pull the lever, did I win? And it's like, you lost. And you're like, well, okay, instantly, that's no fun either. There's an optimal time frame. Yeah. Twitter uses that to determine how long it takes to load to show notifications. So it waits for that optimal, like, 3/4 of a second to boom. And then you're like, oh, there's my notifications. It's kind of insidious.
Yeah.
So yes, these channels. I'll finish this, and then I will end the podcast.
Permanently.
when Mahler and Regs and Fringy and Dev were talking, they were talking about how it can be really disheartening to gain a sudden huge boost.
Yeah.
Because then what happens
is it peaks and starts going down.
Is you get used to it.
Yeah.
And then it drops down to normal, or it even lulls temporarily.
Yes.
And
yes, I've had that happen.
Yeah. Yes, you have. You've had that.
I've had it happen twice. And it's
it's
happening right now.
Oh, you're going down again?
It's leveled out. So it was a spike and that's leveling out.
And I think like maybe nowish you're finally back to where you were back like middle of last year.
No, I'm past that.
Oh,
I surpassed that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I surpassed by quite a bit, and now I'm dropping back down to that level.
But you were just kind of like exponentially growing for a bit, and then it just crashed.
Yeah.
And then it's...
No, when that crash happened, that was hard to get through, actually. That was like mentally unhealthy that does that to you.
And yeah, so they were talking about this. They've been doing it for 10 years. It's happened to them quite a few times.
And also their money depends a lot more than me.
Well, maybe not back then.
Yeah.
But there was this thought of, this is my thought as well, that the ability to weather that might be what makes you a successful YouTuber in the end.
No,
because
that is actually one of the the two bits of advice I didn't give the other one is do it because you want to do it. Like the sort of don't do it for a career, but do it because you want to do it. But also only let it be a hobby. Like take breaks from it. Like just roll with it. And
the ability to weather that crash. The only way you can weather that crash is because you're doing it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that'll kill you. Like,
oh yeah.
Like not necessarily literally, but it'll
feels like your life force is getting drained when you see it crash.
It'll wreck your motivation. Yeah. So you look at like Melamori. She, like I said, she grew from 45 to like 1,000 in no time. And I think she would have kept growing, but she stopped making videos. She's Ukrainian, so it could be her family's in...
Yeah.
Because she moved to the United States, but her family could be in trouble or whatever. But I do think that these not ugly women, especially, have it quite hard because they'll get like 2,000 people like in a day.
Yeah.
And then they'll suddenly go to like one a day as they should be getting. And they're like, oh, wow, everything's fallen apart. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
And they just lose everything from that. They lose all the motivation to continue because part of there is a definite, you have to admit, there is an enjoyment
numbers
getting bigger.
Yeah.
That's a thing. I think Northern Lion might have started too, is thing go burr, serotonin go burr. I think that might have been his big thing.
Well, I think it's the money printer go burr it's literally, that's the sound they make. They go.
Yeah, but he did serotonin go burr years ago.
Mm-hmm. But I think the money go burr has been around for a very long time.
But you get this crash, and I think the ability to... So what was that guy? I really wanted to invite him on the channel. You remember him?
One of the yellow-haired fellas?
No, it was the other guy. He was like, he made these really interesting political philosophy videos, and he said he'd do it for 2 years, and then if he didn't get to 100,000, he'd just quit forever or something. And he got to like 80,000, and then he just quit because he couldn't make a career off of it. But if he had stuck with that for another year, I think he'd be one of the biggest channels out there because he very high quality, very good. But he didn't get what his goal was to make it his living in 2 years, and he failed, and so he gave up. But if he just kept doing it for just if he just held on.
Also, one of the things, there's this animation channel which is called Chip Flicks. And this person does animations about cats, basically. And it used to be like their own life stories, and they used that anthropomorphized model character for who they were. And they would talk about things like the furry community and various other stuff. And I started watching them because they had these funny little cute cat animations, which were just purely cat. And I went back and watched some of them. And then they said, from the get-go, I plan to make YouTube my career. And so, like, they chose a furry persona because people watched that. Like, they was very analytical of how they went through it. But then they're saying, I've stopped showing this persona story things because the videos that get watched the most are just these animations about the cat. And my lizard brain... Like, they refer to Chip, like the cat, as a separate entity than them. It's like lizard brain, eldritch feeding, needs to eat these actual views. And so I can't do the other things anymore. I was thinking, it's kind of sad that you don't do your gold content anymore.
Depends. Because if you like
But
both,
the new stuff is better, I think.
If you like both, but one's more profitable, then... I forget who it was. He's an artist. It might have been Scott Adams. He said something like the Dilbert guy. It was something like, what do you say to an artist who refuses to bend to what the audience wants from them?
Starving.
You say, I'd like fries with that, please.
Hmm.
His
I do not like that. I like fries with that.
his point being, now I think I've heard that sort of thing a lot from Teach. The problem is it denigrates the whole fast food service industry, where I think there's nothing wrong in being a very good fast food server. You'd be the best fast food server out there. You're doing great. That's good. Yeah. And that is something I wish I had been told a lot more when I was younger. Is you know, be a grocery like clerk scanner person. Be the best person there is.
Yeah. Like have a smile on your face. Greet people. Be friendly. Like do it with a song in your heart.
Yeah, and I think that's really good advice that I didn't get. It was more like, oh, you don't want to be just a liberal arts major that works at the fast food place. I really think that's the wrong attitude. I think the right attitude is just you got to do the ground level menial work and just be the best person there is at it. I think that's really
you gotta clean your room.
Yeah,
and then lift the heaviest boulder you can, but lift it well.
Well, I think the reason we often sound a lot like Jordan Peterson is he's right.
Yes, and we both read his book now.
Yes, but he's right, and there's only so many ways to be right.
Yes,
and so we're gonna say the same things, and he's going to find alignment with us to a degree, which is good for him. Yes. It's nice that him and Stephen Hawking can both share a bit of our achievement there. I'll allow him on the pedestal as well.
Honestly, though, in some ways, I think both of us do but like he has demonstrably benefited both our lives, not just from the philosophy thing, but
I don't think he has done a huge amount for my life compared to his daughter.
Well, that's what, like through his daughter. That's what I just mean is through his daughter was able to share that because he was a person, like nepotism there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I guess that to that family, like his daughter and him, we do have that.
Yeah. No, he definitely had an impact. I actually read Maps of Meaning with I disagreed with everything. Like I think I talked about it at the time, but I read it definitely with the intent of going in and disagreeing with everything. And I'm still not convinced the argument isn't circular, but I definitely see the value in not being obsessed with rationalism. Yeah, because rationalism is
if you
dangerous.
Did you see? Yeah, no. I'll ask you this question afterwards.
Well, if it's
did you see Benjamin Boyce's latest video on the whole deal with
his university?
No, not his university. Sam Harris.
No, I did see Sam Harris's stuff though.
Yeah, no. So Benjamin Boyce talks about it, and then he explains that Sam Harris isn't actually an atheist. And he talks about it through rationalism, and it's really compelling and like really thought out, like most of Benjamin Boyce's things are.
So Stephen Fry, I think I've said this before, but I think he's the smartest man on earth, and he isn't a rationalist, but he is an atheist. Yeah, and you can see the difference. Yes, he's like, I don't know. It's much more respectable in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, like Benjamin Boyce's video even goes into why it's more respectable. Like it is. What rationalism is, like Sargon, he's not a rationalist.
No, but Sitch and Adam are. Yeah, and Sargon argues a lot with them. He's trying to convince them, like, don't be a rationalist.
But, I don't like Sargon. Even like says, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't think Sargon's an atheist.
Well, I think he is.
Well, so he's not. Yeah, kind of. It's weird.
And I think he's an atheist. I'm an atheist.
Yeah,
I think he's very similar to me in a lot of ways. But Sitch and Adam were saying, but this goes against science. And Sargon's like, science is stupid. I don't care about science. And they don't understand why, because rationalism is such a hard cult to get out of. Yeah. And I've talked about this where Lucifer is the rational angel, sees further than any, but that means he falls further than them all. And it's the greater danger. And so you were talking about, Gaia did this thing on floating stones and how laughable that is, right? Like using sound to levitate rocks. Yes. Because there's not enough energy in the sound waves to lift the rocks, right?
Yeah, I have seen videos of things get levitated by sound waves. That's very cool.
But it's a lot of energy for a small thing, yes. Yeah. But I was thinking, got an RC plane, right? Mm-hmm. There's not actually enough energy in you moving the joystick to fly that plane. You can't power the motor with your moving the joystick.
What do you think we'll leave it there? As you said, we had that one last thing.
But essentially...